Welcome everybody to another edition of the C3 Friday Free for All, the show for Panther fans by Panther fans. As always, I'm your host, Cody Lashley, back with the final free for all before Panther football, baby. It's a good time to be alive. You know I'm here with my boys. I appreciate everybody choosing to spend your Friday afternoons right here talking Panther football. As always, if you would like to join the show today, you may do so via the link I have pinned to the top of the YouTube chat, top of the Facebook chat, and it's in the description below the video. Boys, let's jump straight into it. We got a big time show today. First up, you know him, you love him. He might be cooking dinner. It's Panther Pickle. Pickle, what's up?
Sounded good, too.
Oh, Pickle might not be by the microphone yet. We'll go, my man.
He might be muted and talking shit. That's usually what happens.
Yeah, that's true. We'll go to my man Cody. Cole, what's up, brother? How you feeling, bro?
Cody Light, man, what's going on? I am tired, but very excited at the same time. I did not sleep any last night. That game had me up hype. I couldn't go to sleep after that.
We have to talk about that at some point today.
Football's back, my friend. You can go ahead and say that already.
Yeah. Football is back with a vengeance. I love it. Panther football is upon us. So many hopes and dreams are on this team right now. Are we going to turn this around? We'll find out, man. Next up, you know him. He's the brand ambassador. It's D's Ill Skills. What's up, brother? Welcome back and welcome to the Free For All.
Yes, sir. Glad to be here with all my C3 brethren. We're going to have a good time tonight. Like you said, Cody, football is back. Football is on right now. Got a matchup going. And we're here to talk about some Panthers football. Big matchup coming up Sunday, a divisional matchup against the Saints. You know, what are we going to see from this Panthers team? We'll get an all-new everything. We'll get a brand-new GM, first time, Dan Morgan. Brand-new head coach, Dave Cowles, first time. We got brand-new pieces on the offensive line. We got brand-new pieces like our rookie, Jatavion Sanders, stepping into the starting role possibly coming up Sunday because we got the news today that Tommy Tremble is going to be out. Ian Thomas is going to be out. Panthers fans are cheering around for Ian Thomas.
Oh, you're breaking up, Deez.
Probably Streamyard with somebody coming in.
Deez, you with me? I don't want you to be talking
What's up?
Not anybody hearing you. All right, Deez, we'll get back to you, brother. You might need to come in and come out and see if that fixes
one of
your
them
audio.
nights.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. It's all right. We got a long free-for-all to go, brother.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, next up, my man, White Chocolate Espresso, back in the building. Kev, what up, dude?
What up, Kev? Look at that hat.
What's up, Cody? Hey, what's up? I'm on my lunch break right now, having me a beer. So,
Nice.
what's up?
That's like a solid dinner.
Right?
That sounds like a solid dinner.
Hey, Diesel Skills, do we have you? Say something real quick if I got you, bro.
Yo, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you
Absolutely,
now.
my friend, loud and clear.
All right, good. Everybody started spinning there for a second, like I was lagging or something. That's fine.
No, you weren't. We couldn't hear you.
Yeah, we were. We couldn't hear you at all.
We heard
Kev,
nothing.
mute your microphone, bro.
Don't tell me what to do.
You ass. Go ahead, dude. Finish your opening bar and then we'll jump into the show, man.
Shoot, yeah. Let's get some first timers in here tonight. You know, this is the show that's for the fans, by the fans. Mm-hmm. Cody gives away his Friday night each and every week to open it up to Panthers fans to come on here and talk about your team. And Lord knows it's not just Panthers fans. You know, if there's a Saints fan that wants to come talk about the matchup, that's okay too. They had a guest on the show Tuesday that was a Saints fan and got some good intel and insight to what this matchup is going to look about. And I know that's why Panthers fans are tuned into this show tonight, because we want to know what this matchup Sunday is going to look like and what this Dave Canales regime has in store for all of us fans. So let's get some first timers on here tonight. Lord knows you may not want to do 3 hours with the show like a lot of us hardcore C3 fans do, but come in and ask a question to Cody, or if you want to submit it in the chat, you can do that as well. Shout out to all those great C3 members in the chat, all those super fans of the C3 Panthers podcast. You know, do a super sticker, do a super chat, ask that question. Let the panel tackle these ideas and questions that you have coming about for this Panthers team for this season. Let's see how this thing works out, Cody. I'm excited for this Panthers season, and I hope the fans and I hope everybody else in C3 is too.
Oh, man, we're so pumped. And listen, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell for every single time the C3 Panthers podcast goes live. Gentlemen, I want to jump in directly to Panther football. So, as Brother D said, we will not have Ian Thomas or Tommy Tremble available for the New Orleans Saints matchup. That means Jordan Matthews and our very own Jatavion Sanders.
Yes, sir.
Going to see all that action this Sunday in the Dome. He will be starting for the Panthers, thrust into action. This past January, he led the Longhorns in receiving with 6 catches and 75 yards at the Superdome in the college football semifinal. Now, I have said in the past it takes tight ends a little bit longer to catch on, but the preseason did show some really good performances from this man. How excited are you about the potential of Jordan Thomas and Jatavion Sanders week 1 for the Panthers?
I'm very excited about it.
It's a free-for-all.
I'm very excited about Jatavion going into week 1 for sure. I'm glad he's starting. I called that a long time ago.
What are some of your expectations for him in week 1?
He can get a touchdown. Why not? Go get a touchdown. Go be a red zone target and a big third down target for Bryce. Even if you got to catch the ball in short routes, Cody, I feel like he can extend the play and still be explosive. So there's a lot of different ways you can use him. They're probably going to line him up everywhere too, which I'm down with.
Yeah, we have a lot of clues as to how we might be moving around a few different players on this offense. But let me welcome in Panther Pickle with that Tennessee Volunteer hat. In no way sending some subliminal shots towards anyone else on the program. But Pickle, what's up? And you're muted, brother. You ruined your intro.
Damn, that's what I do, ruin things. I'm excited about Sanders starting. I said it before the draft. I agreed with G Baby, and I'll say it now. He should have been a first round pick to me, maybe late first or early second. He was there in the 4th round. I think we've got a steal. I think before the season's up, we're going to scream that he's a steal. I think he's the main reason why we only kept 5 wide receivers on the field. I think his ability and the ability of Matthews both to kick in at wide receiver and tight end. I think that's a very strong reason why we're going to see. I think there are going to be some game breakers this year, and I'd love to see Sanders put up over 100 yards today.
That would be incredible, man.
Well, we want to put hats on.
I see how we're doing.
We can put hats on.
NC State, Tennessee Volunteer showdown in the building. Oh shit!
That's it. Well, hey,
it's gonna be a hell of a game. I can't wait.
Hey, Cole, my friend. At least we can say our teams won last week.
Absolutely, it was a little dicey, but we did win.
That.
And I get to watch my favorite college team in
so
my favorite NFL stadium, bro. That's
just
I can't wait to be there tomorrow. It's gonna be
awesome.
awesome.
It's a great experience, man.
That's it, Cody. Let me ask you something real quick, and I don't mean to turn everything around, but do you think what's your Clemson's chances against App State?
You better watch out, Cody.
We better beat App State, or else I'm gonna be.
Remember when they beat Michigan, right?
Better take App State serious.
Do not remind me.
I mean, listen, I think that even still, we have a better chance in the ACC than any one of y'all's teams does in the SEC or the ACC.
I don't know about that.
Let's go. Anyway,
we're 1-0.
This
we're
is
1-0
podcast, so we'll keep it Panthers for the time being. And let me welcome in my man. Haven't seen him in a while, but we love to have him. Jay Stubbs back on the free for all. What's up, Jay?
Is that time of year again, boys?
Let's
What up,
go.
Stubbs?
Yes, sir.
Full of hope, but you know,
Yes, sir.
hope
gotta
and
have
prayers,
something.
baby.
Up with hope and up with dope.
How you feeling about Jatavion Sanders getting the start for an injured Tommy Tremble and Ian Thomas? Man, what are some of your expectations for the young tight end who has recently changed his number from 85 to 0?
Well,
The zero's fire.
I'm just
Yeah.
I'm at to the point now where, like, I mean, I have no expectations for any player, if I'm being honest. I want them to just have a good season, bro. Like, show some promise, and
Yeah.
I'll take. I mean, what's he projected to have? I mean, is what's his name out for a while, or?
I haven't looked at what his projections are, and I don't know how long Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble are set to be out. However, I do know that both Jatavion Sanders and Jordan Matthews looked really impressive in the preseason, and they looked like the type of receiving threats that we have not had at tight end for a long time. So imagine if all of a sudden we have now not one, but two viable blocking and pass receiving tight ends. Like, do y'all remember how good that was for Cam Newton his rookie year? Like,
Bro,
everybody's
Shockey
saying
and
this is like the de facto rookie year for Bryce Young. I think this could be very important for him. Go ahead, Kevin.
I think it depends on Icky. Okay, if Icky still struggles, you ain't gonna see much receiving out of him.
The speed rush,
gonna be
boy, you
blocking.
still can't stop it.
He gonna be blocking.
Yeah. Is that your biggest question mark for this offense right now? Is that left tackle position? Yeah.
Icky and the center.
I don't think. I think they've got it schemed up. I don't think if Icky can't hold up, simply, I mean, a simple 1-man rush, like, you know, it looks as bad as he did last year, folks. I'm just going to say it. I believe Canales will bench him.
I just hate it because, like, if you think about it, Pickle, it's like he's been in like chaos, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Clearly, it's not great, and the coaching wasn't great. So it's like
Exactly.
I guess everybody's in a de facto rookie year if you think about it.
Yeah, and I mean, Canal. I mean, Icky looked better in preseason, and the offensive line coach has been working one-on-one with Icky. I don't. I mean, Sanders is not a good enough blocker to help Icky. I would imagine a running back, or maybe even that guy we picked up off waivers. He's a better blocker than Sanders is, as far as run blocker. So I could see him out there.
Are there
Icky
players?
needs
Are there
assistance.
defensive ends healthy? I haven't really looked at this injury report.
Not
I
really.
need to pull the depth chart
I mean,
up. I had it up a second.
they're big. Their starting their starting defensive tackle is the other. When I looked at it yesterday, he was out, but I haven't looked at it.
He don't want
Brian
to smoke.
Bresee, the Clemson.
Who the
guy?
hell is Carl Granderson?
No. The guy they picked up off free agency last year.
Yeah, one of the things they said about Jatavion Sanders was him going through this rite of passage, Cody, to earn this 0 number. Like, he wasn't just going to be given the number 0 because it's not typical for a tight end or offensive player or any player to wear that 0 in the NFL. And he had to go through this rite of passage. He had to earn that number through his play on the field. And through his hard work in practice, you know, a lot of the coaches said that he had improved on his pass blocking or improved on his blocking in general. He has gotten better at it. He's shown some progression, the same type of progression that we saw from a guy like Jack Plummer. Remember how hard he was to watch week 1? But remember, he threw for 300 yards week 3, the final week of the preseason. Look at that progression. That's what we've been wanting to see from this Panthers team. And we saw the same thing from Jatavion Sanders, a 4th-round draft pick. But the thing about that is he was touted as the 2nd overall best tight end in that draft. And that's why so many Panthers fans love that pick by Dan Morgan. And he's gone out and proven that he is that guy. And he has earned his spot within this team. He's earned respect from the players around him. And we're looking for big things for him this year. Now, I saw somebody in the chat put 600 yards, and I don't know that that's necessarily what we're going to see from Jatavion this year, because I don't know how much the coaching staff likes Trimble, and I don't know how much the coaching staff likes Ian Thomas. But personally,
who was our leading receiver for tight end last year? You know,
It was probably Ian. It was like 80 yards, right?
I thought it was Trimble barely. I think it was Trimble barely.
Did he even break 200? Did he even get 250? I mean, I don't even think he did.
No, tight ends have been not a focus
it was
on our offense the past few years in the receiving.
Yeah,
since Matt Rule,
so
really,
it don't even matter. Right.
Bro,
Cody, let me ask you this right quick.
Hasn't scored a touchdown. Ian Thomas hasn't scored a touchdown for Carolina since 2018.
Is that the McCaffrey? Is that the McCaffrey trick play?
Yeah, I think that was the one where McCaffrey threw him the touchdown.
Wow,
Bro,
is that his rookie year?
Either his rookie year or his second.
That was his best year, right?
Bro, that man has been here forever, y'all. That is, I mean, he's been here. That is a tried and true Panther, man. But Jatavion Sanders, I like that number that Nick put, 600 yards, 5 touchdowns. I think that would let us know that we have a real talent that needs to be respected on the field. How do y'all feel that he's going to do in his initial pass blocking, though? Will he be able to stand up to those NFL? Yeah, I mean, will he be able to hold up to the Saints pass rush?
You don't need to ask him to do that much. If he's on the field, he needs to be running routes, Cody.
Okay.
And then again,
I mean, you can get him to chip people, but as far as going one-on-one in the chest of a DN, I don't want to see that.
Yeah, it was Tommy. It asked Stu's question. Answer. It was Tommy Trimble. He had
what was the number?
He had 23 catches out of 32 targets for 194 yards.
Bro,
that was
that's crazy, bro. That would be like that'd be like a decent game from Greg Olsen.
I was going to say, Greg Olsen had that shit 2-3 games.
That's how low the bar is.
Ian Thomas had 5 catches for 9 targets for 56 yards.
I think that's the biggest
and
thing
you're
we've been
here,
missing, bro.
still getting paid, and you ain't getting 100 yards.
Hey, he must know something about somebody.
To be honest,
I'm in on it now, bro. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst was a little bit better than
he missed like 10 games.
Yeah. Well, he had 18 targets. He had 18 catches for 184 yards,
bro.
And 1 touchdown. So
that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
That is pretty insane, man.
I just don't think we're going to have a second receiver go over 600 yards.
Well, and also, again, I want to continue to tie Jordan Matthews into this because they had a connection, man. I know it was one drive in preseason, but Jordan Matthews has been impressive for more than one preseason game. He continues to find ways to get open. He's able to find soft spots in the zone and fight for more yards. I mean, this dude's been in the NFL like, what, 10 or 11 years now? Like, that dude is a veteran. I feel more comfortable with Jordan Matthews than I do Ian Thomas, and I've barely seen anything from Jordan Matthews recently. So I think that's a testament to both of their skill set together, and I think that the Panthers have the opportunity to have a very versatile offense early in the year. Like, all of a sudden, we have a lot of weapons that we're looking to feed and get on the board early.
We're due for some good luck, though, right? I mean, like, getting a steal. I mean, we need something to help us, man.
I just don't think we're going to see another receiver go over 600 yards. I think Johnson will.
Yards. That's ridiculous.
And then the rest.
I think we will.
That is crazy.
So let me tell you
what.
I
think we're going to spread out the ball so much.
But I don't think we're going to get yardage from. I think we're going the most second receiver going to have 500.
Well, let me
be surprised with it.
So let me put it to you like this, right?
I think the second most will have 500.
I mean, listen, I hear that, but at the same time, I'm also reading stuff like this from Deontay Johnson because they're moving me around. Just to get me on backers or nickels or different corners to attack different ways. And this is something that we have not done in recent years, man. Move our receivers around. I'm a big proponent of taking your number one wide receiver, no matter how good they are, and put them in the slot. Take
Yes, sir.
advantage of that matchup against nickels and linebackers. Why not do that? I wanted them to do that so much more here in Carolina for a long time. Now it looks like they're doing that with Deontay Johnson. Kev, if we don't have a receiver that goes over 600, I'm going to
I said we're not going to have like our number one receiver. I think is Johnson is going to have 1,000. I just don't think there's going to be another receiver to get over 600 yards.
So whoever the number 2 is won't have over 6.
Yeah.
All right, it just depends.
Y'all remember when we had a number 2 receiver curse, and now we have just like this is like every receiver's a number 2 now.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah.
They are. Let me read real quick. Last year, Adam had 1,014 yards. Chark had 525.
I've been forgetting
yards.
about Adam Thielen, man.
And Mingo had 418 yards. And even Chuba Hubbard had 233 yards. And I think we have a better offensive line. I think we have a better receiving core, and we damn sure got a better play caller. The fact is, I would trust our current offensive coordinator over any coach we had on offense last year.
Have y'all been impressed by the new coach?
And Pickle, though, but Pickle, I agree with you, but I also think we're going to run the ball a lot better next year.
I hope
I think it's going to take away a lot of yards.
I really like that, Kevin. I really do.
Wait, hold on, Jason. You said I'll be impressed with the coach. You mean Canales?
Yeah, I've been out of the loop for a while, so I'm saying, are y'all pretty balled in?
Yeah,
I am. I can't speak for everyone else. I feel like he has a method to the madness. He's able to perfectly explain his decision for doing things and why they've done them. It seems like he really has a vision for this team, whereas the last 2 guys were just winging it, flying by the seat of their pants. Yeah, bro, he provides a much more youthful energy for a younger team, and I think that we need that right now.
I think Johnson's going to have 1,000, and I think a bunch of other receivers and tight ends will probably have like 500 to 400 yards.
So let me, yeah, go ahead.
No, that's.
So let me go to Diesel skills, and then I'm going to welcome someone into the show. These, from your summation, who do you think probably will be the number 2 option on this team this year? I feel like most people feel Deontay Johnson is the best bet for our number 1. I mean, that's what we're being told. But who do you see it coming at number 2 as being the most important weapon in this offense? Is it still Adam Thielen? Does Jonathan Mingo emerge? Or does Xavier Legette just destroy every expectation?
Well, Legette would be the guy I would hope for, of course. He's my favorite player, and that's just my own personal bias. I mean, Legette's got the size, the speed, and strength to really do some damage for us. He's the kind of guy that can catch the ball on a 2-yard route and turn it into a touchdown. You know, he's got the ability to break tackles that Adam Thielen doesn't have. But Adam Thielen's still effective. He'll probably be that number 2 option for Bryce. Bryce is familiar with Adam. Adam's got a lot of polish. Legette still needs a lot of polish on his route running. So I would have to believe that it's going to be Adam Thielen. I would think that Adam Thielen's going to get 800 yards. It's hard for me to believe that he's going to get 6 or less. Cade Otton is a good person I want to bring up from the offense for the Bucs last year under Dave Canales. He was like a backup tight end. He got over 600 yards. To me, that feels like that Jatavion Sanders role, except Jatavion's more physically gifted than Cade Otton is. He's more of an athlete than Cade Otton is. He may not be the blocker that Cade is, but as far as a receiving tight end, he is better. And I think he'll thrive in this Canales scheme. So if we end up putting a guy like Tommy Tremble as a starting tight end and then go with Jatavion as a backup, it doesn't mean that his yards are going to be limited to under 600. He still can achieve that. It's still possible. Just him being a little less in the blocking game makes me think he's not going to get as many reps or as many opportunities to get that 600 yards. But I think Thielen comes down with 800 this year. It's hard for me to believe that he gets less. And then, Mingo or Legette behind him, whoever's making plays out of either one of those guys, that's a win-win for the Panthers. Either one, every catch they get is fantastic as young as those guys are, Cody.
Yeah, man. A lot of youth. Go ahead, Kev.
And here's the thing, like, I was excited when we drafted Legette, like, just obviously South Carolina and everything. But, like, I did not want to draft a receiver with our first 2 picks. Like, I wanted a center. I wanted a linebacker because I figure a receiver is going to be the third option this coming year.
That
And I
man
thought
is
we
so
had
country,
desperate
bro.
needs. I love him. Don't get me wrong. I love him,
Y'all
but
crazy, man.
So hey,
I,
let me welcome in my brother JD Young son Wukong into the building, holding it down in Hawaii. JD, what's up, brother? How are you, man?
Black myth.
Yo, what's good? What's good, man? Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and
yeah,
clear, man.
Hey, I wanted to say thank you to Kev because that last statement it was a perfect opening for what I was going to say or what I wanted to share. On the note of not taking the receiver, he wanted a linebacker. Earlier, you guys were talking about Sanders, and I was thinking about this yesterday. Wallace and Sanders. I think those two dudes are further ahead in their development, like their
I agree,
preparedness
Sam.
and readiness to play in the pros. Like I recall listening to a video when we drafted Sanders, and it was a guy that watched Texas. He's a fan of Texas University, and he said that prior to Sanders' last season in college, he was a better blocker the season prior to. Like it was for him. He felt like it was a dip in his want. Like he just wasn't worried about blocking that last year in college as much as he was about running routes and catching the ball. And
Yeah.
then you look at the preseason, and Sanders is blocking. From what I'm seeing, he looks like a fairly solid blocker. Like you throw him
Yeah.
out there week one, he's only going to get better as the season goes. And then Wallace, like I feel like I heard conversations about he was overdrafted, and then you see this guy like throughout training camp making plays. Like I think those two guys, along with Legette, like from my excitement for this season is stemming from what Morgan and this is also in reply to I didn't catch you ask a question about how we're feeling about the coaches. But my excitement for the season stems from what Morgan and what Canales have done with the team. They weren't necessarily dealt the best hand. You lose Brian Burns due not to your own incompetence, but due to the incompetence of the regime before you. You lose a talent like that, and say what you will about Burns, this team would be better with him on it as opposed to as it stands. But for Morgan to do what he's done, the unity between the coaches and the front office, like there's a vision, there's a plan, and everything that they've done, like Cody said, it's made sense. Like, okay, Burns wanted this kind of money. We can't give him that in field a competitive team. We got to let him go. Get what you can for him. You go into the draft and you get an Xavier Legette. There were other receivers that people wanted, but they got the guy that they felt was going to fit their system and fit that system for years to come. So then everything that they've done, how can we field a competitive team this year while also building for the future? And you go and get guys who are, like I said, Sanders and Wallace. I'm excited to see what those dudes are going to do. That number zero, like they're you can't rock the zero and not be special in some kind of way, right? Then you
Yeah.
got like that one preseason drive from Bryce. For me, again, I was more so looking at Plummer. Week one, you couldn't watch the guy. Like, yo, bro, hey, hang the cleats up, go get a desk job. Week two, you
Progress.
saw improvement, but hey, this still might not be cut out for you. Week three, and Canales had Plummer out there looking like a goddamn football player. And you pair that with what the offense was able to do, the movement by Bryce when the pocket with a 1, 2, 3, let me roll up out of the pocket. This is just me and my excitement speaking, but I swear on that one drive, if Deontay was running a route, he so much as felt like Bryce was moving, he was already on the like on that type of Bryce is rolling, let me go. Like that kind of quarterback to receiver relationship, like, hey, I can tell he's about to do this. Let me go ahead and get over here to get this ball. I'm excited as hell, man. Like if there was ever a season for guys to go out there and be special,
Yeah.
Canales and Morgan have done everything that they could to give them that opportunity. So now they can just go out there and play and go be special.
I really, and I can't confirm this, but I have a sneaking suspicion that like he's gonna have these guys playing with the chip on their shoulders. Right now, this Carolina Panthers team is at the very bottom of everyone else's power rankings.
32.
The very bottom. 32 of 32. No one believes in the Carolina Panthers other than Panthers fans. So if you have these young guys that are going to be able to come in and make an instant impact, like Jatavion Sanders, like Xavier Legette, that's going to be incredible for us, man. We haven't had rookies
change the culture,
really,
right, Cody? You just changed the whole vibe.
That's a part of building something for the future. Now, okay, everybody saw the game last night. Everybody saw how great Xavier Worthy looked for the Kansas City Chiefs last night. All right, whatever. So
I'm not saying he didn't look bad.
Let me pose the question. How do y'all feel that raises or lowers or doesn't do anything at all for the expectations of Xavier Legette going into this Sunday's matchup against New Orleans?
Let me go first.
Kev.
Listen.
All right, Kev.
You take away that broken play in which he had no cornerback on him whatsoever. Like, it was a mismatch. Something went wrong. I don't know. But you take away that one thing, and he has one catch for 12 yards. Like, he did nothing really to go, ooh, I wish we would have got him instead of XL. Like,
you didn't find that he showed himself to be incredibly explosive and dangerous?
No, he is. He's great with the ball in his hands. That was never my worry with him. My worry was his hands.
That dude is fast as shit, bro.
He is fast as shit. Don't get me wrong. He is, but I wasn't worried about his speed. I was worried about his hand. Remember, I said Tech in junior.
By the way, what a game last night, bro. That's a great way to.
It was a great game.
What a way to start the NFL season. I'm going to ask you a question about that in a bit. But I want to say on XL, what are your expectations for him going into the game this Sunday? And did Xavier Worthy or any other young player in that game, did that raise your expectations for him?
What can I say something?
Yeah.
What I saw from Xavier Worthy is what I expect from XL. I expect a lot of explosive plays. I don't expect a lot of catches or a lot of yards. I expect a lot of explosive plays. He's not going to be the number 1 or 2.
All right. I mean, how
often did Canales run a 2 tight end set last year? Did anybody know?
I know he threw to the tight end a lot.
I know Cade Otten had a big year last year.
I want to say
definitely I had him on my fantasy.
I don't think he did. I think he just adapted to the personnel Tampa Bay had. Like, I think he just sees something here with the tight ends that we have.
Word.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a high percentage of 12 personnel by Canales. And with that, Sanders set records at Texas. He was 682 receiving yards, and then he had 12 receptions of over 20-plus yards. Also a record at Texas. I mean, Sanders is no joke, man. He's a real deal. But as far as XL compared to Worthy, I mean, I'm on the side of Legette's size will lend him to be a better NFL wide receiver. Now he ran a 4.39 compared to a 4.22 by Worthy. So he's a little slower, and we're talking about tenths of a second slower than Worthy.
And Andy Reid.
Look at his size, but he's what is he, 40 pounds heavier? He's over 225 pounds compared to 278 or whatever Worthy is. So, I would take XL any day, even if he needs a little more polish. This Panthers team has got some time before we're ready to compete for the Super Bowl. We're okay.
Absolutely. Hey, let me welcome some people into the show. Real quick. We got my man 910 Kyle back in the building. Kyle, what's up, brother? How you doing?
Yeah, back here for another Friday show.
Let's do it, brother.
And also, Cody, let's be real. He has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like,
they'll try.
He went to the greatest. He went to the greatest system
ever.
That was
the perfect landing spot for
for any receiver.
And listen, I saw Diaz put this on Twitter last night. Like, damn, like Buffalo really let him go like that. Like that would have been the perfect wide receiver for Josh
The first
Allen.
replacement for Diggs.
I know, and they
Buffalo
just let him go, man. Hey, also, let me welcome in my man Anthony into the free for all. Ant, what's up, dude?
What's up? No, I was gonna say Buffalo also traded them Patrick Mahomes basically too. So Buffalo really doesn't have any idea what they're doing, honestly.
And they traded XL away.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
What was the Florida State wide receiver? Keon Coleman. That they
Keon
just drafted
Coleman,
that
yeah.
apparently they're really excited about too. So
I mean, people were hyped on him coming out. So
yeah.
He's having some. Coleman's having some of the Legette issues. He's just a little slow catching on. And
Just a rookie.
He's a rookie. I'm sure he'll catch on though. I'm really certain. Give him a little while and he'll catch on.
Rookie
Hey,
wide
real
receiver
quick.
has to be one of the hardest.
So real quick, I just wanted to say hello to Shauna G and Alan Zapata in the chat for the first time. Welcome to the C3 Panthers Podcast. Hit that like and subscribe. And if you would like to join the show to be a part of it, man, we're welcome to everyone. Hit that link and you can come on and be a part of the podcast if you would so like. It's the free for all. But let me continue to go back to those XL predictions. And do you think now the expectations are higher on XL? And just what are your expectations of him this Sunday in general? Who wants to go next?
I said like the season wise, he probably has around 500 and something yards, and like maybe 4 touchdowns to 5 touchdowns.
I think he's just gonna be that kind of guy for us that's gonna like have like 2 big plays a game this year, and that's kind of all we should expect from him.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anything over 500 yards.
Yeah, like I'm not expecting him to like start or anything crazy, but I think like you could throw him in the lineup and he can catch like 2 deep posts or like a drag or something like that. Like, I don't think that's unreasonable.
Who was the receiver for Arizona? I know they're not comparable, but he was like really short.
Was that Dobbs or whatever?
No, it's
Moore.
He's not with the team anymore.
Oh yeah, more.
I think he's going to play that type of role where he's just very explosive, and he's going to have explosive plays for his rookie year.
I thought you were going to say Chosen.
Yeah, so he's going to have like low catches, but he'll probably have a decent amount of yards, in my opinion.
And I expect the same thing from Worthy, actually. I expect the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So he's like a Robbie Anderson. He'll play every 3 games.
Pretty much.
And he's going to be tweaking.
But he's not skinny as hell.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, I don't mind. Like, let's be real. The 4-3 or whatever that Xavier Legette runs, like, to me, that is more impressive. The fact that he's so much bigger.
Like
and you're not
pounds,
gonna be,
right?
Yeah, dude, you're not going to be able to bully Xavier Legette off the line.
No, you're not.
Like, that dude is too strong. It's too, but man, that man is quite literally country strong.
And bro, you can't hip drop tackle him. You can't.
I was
hip
about to
drop
say a
tackle
little ass corner is not going to tackle that man either. I'm going to tell you that.
You
right.
can't hit, and you can't hip drop tackle anymore. You can't just drop to your knees. You know.
Yeah, once it clicks in his head and his body, and he gets it together, and it clicks,
It's over with
he's
for
gonna
them,
be
Pickle.
dangerous. He's going to be
Yes,
dangerous.
he is.
That's
Especially if him and Bryce
that's
get like
part of the
a
thing that
fade.
leads me to believe they're
Oh
going to
yeah,
use him as
and
And also,
leads me to believe they're going to use him as a gadget guy.
yeah,
With Legette's speed, Legette's speed he's a strider. So you get him on like jet sweeps, plays where he's already moving. All it takes is for Icky or whoever's sitting at edge to hold that guy for 1 or 2 seconds. Let Legette get that speed built up, hit that edge. If he's level with you, he's gone. Like you're not catching him.
and also Cody, let's not Worthy had a fast time, but XL's time is still fast. Like it's not slow.
Yeah,
he ain't
no,
slow.
that's what I'm saying. Like he has all the
A 4.39 is really good.
He
Yeah,
has
it
all
is.
the
Sub
elite
4.4, you
speed,
get there.
and he has the physicality that Worthy just doesn't.
Hey,
You
can
know,
I bring
so
this up?
I don't mind that at all. Go ahead, Ant.
I was just gonna say, like, my takeaway too is like I just think Rashid Rice is like gonna thrive in that offense because of you see how they can stretch the field now again. Like, and then you have Hollywood, but for us that's the same thing. Like if Legette can actually stretch the field and force something we didn't have last year at all, make safeties play back. Like Deontay Johnson and those guys underneath are gonna get so many one-on-one looks on like quick slants and that stuff. Like.
Yes, he is.
Catch.
Yeah.
Like that matters a lot.
As long as the O-line can hold up, you know.
Yeah, I know.
That's half the reason. I think that's half the reason they didn't bother with that shit last year. Well, no
Hey,
time.
let me get Anthony and Kyle in on the previous discussion. We'll start.
Cody, hold on.
What? Yeah,
I got to go back to work. I was just going to give my final prediction for the score.
Oh yeah. Give your prediction, bro.
It's I say 21-17 Carolina.
Let's go.
21-17 Carolina.
I'm not far off for that.
Who's your player of the game?
Bryce Young.
Yeah, all right. Have a good day at work, Kev. Appreciate you, brother. Later. All right, let me go to either Kyle or Anthony, whoever wants to jump on this first. Let's talk about Jatavion Sanders. Ian Thomas and Tommy Tremble are going to be hurt. They're not playing. So Jordan Matthews and Jatavion Sanders are getting their start. What are your expectations for Jatavion in this season opener?
My expectations for Jatavion Sanders in the season opener, being that he's starting due to injury, my expectations is 2 catches. That's it.
Only 2? Okay. How many yards you thinking?
Because I don't want to expect him to be this world-beating tight end because he wasn't in camp. Now, he was great in camp, but there were still 2 bodies in front of him. So, like, he's only starting because there's 2 injuries. So, like, for me personally, this is week 1. But for me personally, I don't want to have any kind of serious expectations on him, you know. But if you're on the field, you should at least contribute. So I'm going to give him two catches for, I don't know, hopefully one of them's bigger and it's like, you know, like a 20-some yarder. But I'm going to give him like 35 yards, like 2 catches, 35 yards. That's a pretty low expectation, and I'm hoping that I'll get to see that come to fruition pretty quickly throughout the game.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's reasonable. I feel like it's like, you know, set your expectations at a reasonable level so that way he can exceed them. And, you know, really, yeah, I feel that, brother. I feel it.
And I'm freaking out, loving the game.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
You know, doing all that.
I got you, brother. And how do you feel about Jatavion Sanders this Sunday?
Well, you know I love Jatavion Sanders. He was one of my draft crushes. And this is a win in disguise for us. That our rookie tight end, like, he's going to be thrown right into the fire. Like, and this is the kind of the Dave Canales mentality. Like, if he shows out, like, Dave is smart enough to where he's not going to be a Matt Rule and put him back on the bench. He's just going to let him keep running with that job.
Yes, sir. That's what he needs.
And I'd say he probably catches four balls for like 42 yards, and he gets a red zone touchdown. Because I think that our tight ends, I mean, Bryce, the one thing he was good at when you looked at the number, he was good when we got to the red zone. The problem was we never got to the red zone. But when we did, he was able to usually convert touchdowns. So, you know, I think he's going to be looking for those tight ends there in those situations. And I just think I think he's going to have a solid game too. But yeah, I'm really excited to see him in the offense. Like I think we finally have like a vertical tight end threat. Like finally, since Greg Olsen. But yeah, that's what I got to say.
Yeah, dude, we've been waiting for that next Greg Olsen in this offense. I mean, he's literally been the last real receiving threat that we had at that position. And we need this, man. We need somebody that can really excite us at that position. And like I mentioned earlier, Cam Newton's rookie season, he really did benefit off of those 2 tight end sets with Jeremy Shockey and Greg Olsen. So if we can see something similar to that, dude, they say that more than a running back, that tight end can be that security blanket for a young quarterback. And I think that's what he needs right now, man. So that's why I'm really hopeful that he can really make that connection with Bryce early on. The Cardiac Cat 13 says JT 5 catches, 60 yards, and a touchdown. I'll
That's
take
what I'm
that,
talking about.
brother.
I like
I'll
that.
take that on every single Sunday that the Panthers play, baby. You already know. But yeah, I did want to go back to how dynamic this offense has a tendency to be, and where you think the split will be between running the football and passing the football. Now that we hear that Deontay Johnson is talking about him being moved around from the corner position to the outside, how dynamic do you think this passing attack could be this year for the Panthers?
I think, or if someone wants to go ahead.
Whoever wants to go first.
60-40. I think it's going to be a 60-40 split, heavier on the run.
Okay.
I think, like, well, are you asking, like, are we going to flat out run or pass the ball more? Or are you asking, like, how's the offense going to look?
Well, yeah, sort of like what Kyle did. Like, what do you think is the split 60-40, one way or the other? And just how prolific do you think that we have the capability to be passing the football?
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to run a little bit more this week. Like, and I hate to admit this, but, you know, the Saints, it's just the history of us with the Saints. Like, they're always these low-scoring, grinded-out games, tough football, tough tackling, all that stuff. I think Dave's going to try to be really physical and pound the rock. And then I think our offense is – so I'd say 60-40, and then I think our offense is going to be a lot of, you know, motion. Like, get guys going in space pre-snap.
Yes,
like, try to get a lot of one-on-one looks. You know, last year, Frank Reich we just kind of ran out the same personnel. It was like, oh, Thielen's always in the slot. You always got Chark on the outside. Like, that's what I love to hear, man. It's like, yeah, move Deontay Johnson around. That's what Canales did with Mike Evans last year. Like, you just get him on the easiest matchup. You get him on the easiest look going, like, on the drive. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
I like everything I'm hearing, but I do think we're going to run the ball more by a little bit.
I think especially early in the season, they're going to lean on the run. But I remember reading or hearing that with the Bucks, Canales, the offense wasn't as efficient running the ball, but they stuck with it. That makes me believe that if we're having success, because I mean, going into the season, Chuba, I could see Sanders having a bounce back year with the improvements made to the offensive line. If we're having success running the ball, there's no reason to go away from it. But I think there will be games later in the season where it opens up a bit more, and you'll see like there's talent in that receiving room. So I could see a 60-40 split early on, and then they sort of actually go to a 50-50 balance as the season goes on.
Okay. So starting more one way, and then as they get more comfortable and as they get more onto a better rhythm with Bryce and his receiving options, that it'll sort of heat up as the year goes on. I like that. Shout out to my man, Alex Brett Panther. He says, call me ambitious, but I've got to bet that DJ and Chuba each score a touchdown and Bryce to have 250-plus passing yards. That's my shit right there. I'll take that all the time. And shout out to Vietnam 26. He says, hope that Bryce Young 9 shuts these haters up. Appreciate you, brother.
Vietnam's some real shit. Shout out.
That's
it
real.
is.
Shout
out
out
to the
Vietnam.
eastern part of the state where I am. Yes, sir.
Man. Yeah, so let me go to go ahead, Deez.
Yeah, so let's talk about what Canales has done in the past. So just last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Canales was run heavy over the pass, okay? And that doesn't mean that the passing game suffered. Baker Mayfield went to the Pro Bowl. Baker Mayfield won a playoff game. Baker Mayfield almost passed for 4,100 yards. I'm pretty sure if BY9, just like Vietnam was talking about passes for 4,100 yards this season, we're all going to be flipping out and really happy. So a run-heavy approach is not a bad thing. And let me point out that the Buccaneers struggled in terms of yards per carry. It's 3.4 yards per carry last season for Canales. That wasn't very effective in the running game, but he stuck to it. And there was many times last season that we saw Frank Reich abandon that same running game, even though it was moderately effective. Chuba Hubbard getting 3 yards over the middle. You keep getting 3 yards, you might get 4 next time. You might get a first down. So that we kept getting away from that running game. But Canales has the intensity to stick to that running game, and that's what we need here in Carolina, especially after you go out and you pay Damian Lewis. You go out and you pay a Robert Hunt all the money that we paid. And look at our left tackle. What is he good at? What did we draft him for, Cody? We drafted Kemi Kwanu to be effective in the running game as a mauler. I want to see Dave Canales run the football and be stubborn just like he was last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's go.
Yeah. Can I say this real quick?
Yeah, go
to
ahead.
add on to Deez's point, I don't think Tampa Bay's offensive line was equipped to be good at running the ball. I think ours actually is. So, when you do see us run, I think, like Dee said, if you can just get 6 total yards of on 2 run plays, I mean, you set your offense up for a 3rd and 4, as opposed to dropping back on first down. Well, what if there's a completion, 2nd and 10? Then you got to run for 2 yards, 3rd and 8. So it becomes a whole different scenario. So I think he's going to try to. I think he's going to run to set up the pass this year, and I think that's the right thing. I think that's the best plan. But also I think it's going to vary too on who we're playing. If a team's just shutting down, they're kind of like last night. If Derrick Henry can't move the chains at all, then it's all right, then we got to switch it up, right? So I think it just matters kind of how the game flow goes.
Yeah, I mean, dude, to me, I've just been thinking about how many different ways this team could be run. And it all depends on how we are in pass protection. So much depends on, can Ike Ekwonu hold up by himself? Are we going to be able to run the football effectively? And I think that if you take Dave Canales at his word, he's saying that we are going to be incredibly committed to running the football. And I think that you have to do that, man. Like Dee said, you have to set up the run to initiate the pass, because I feel like we have really failed to do that in recent years. And, I mean, just not knowing exactly what we have yet out of our center position with Austin Corbett, this is going to be new for him. He's very excited and very confident about what he's capable of doing at center. So
I feel like the last 5 years we've had identity crisis on offense. We just don't know who we are. We have all these playmakers and we bring in all these pieces, and for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. They don't mesh together. So I'm looking to see this year that cohesion, the ability for the offensive players to kind of play off each other and to be able to make, judgment calls based on what they're seeing on the defense and be able to adapt and adjust. That's probably one of my biggest gripes about the Panthers over the last few seasons is when they come out on the third quarter, they're ass because they can make no adjustments whatsoever to try to take over that game, win that. That's one of my biggest problems that I've had with this team, and that's why I have a lot of faith. I mean, I really do. I think these guys, come in, and I think they've got a little bit better understanding of how to make all 53 work together and not, just a couple.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to. Well, did anyone else have anything they wanted to add on to this conversation? Pickle, Cole, Ant, anybody?
They got me covered. That was good.
Okay, let's go Pickle and then Anthony. Go ahead, Pick.
Yeah, I just want to say I think you're going to see, you're going to see a lot of the similar to the formations and plays that you see from Kyle Shanahan and from the gentleman down in the Texans. You're going to see a short passes. You're going to see a lot of runs, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that because still believe that if you can run the football, you're going to force the defenses to drop a safety in the box. And when they do that, it's going to be dangerous when you throw the ball deep to an open tight end who just happens to outrun a linebacker. I think Sanders is going to have more of a role in this team than people realize.
Yes, sir.
And I think at the end of this year, people are going to talk to him about he'll be our rookie of the year for this team. I think Sanders will be the rookie of the year for this team.
He definitely has the potential. I mean, because Legette could get lost in the wide receiver room, and Wallace could get lost in the linebacker room, and these other players, and Brooks ain't gonna play too much. So Jatavion could be the rookie of the year.
Right, and I believe his performance Sunday. I think his performance, if he has a really, really good performance, he may not give that starting job back.
That's what I'm talking about, Pickle. That's all I
said.
wanted to get across. That's all I wanted to get across about the whole conversation right there. He said it. If he plays good, he stays on the field.
Yeah, and like I just wanted to add on, like I was just gonna say I'm happy, I'm hyped for this rookie class too, and I just wanted to throw another, and I haven't said that in years. Like I'm not even being sarcastic, like so I'm really hyped on these rookies. And the other thing I wanted to throw in there too, I was listening to a different podcast. Mike K went on, was talking Panthers, and I do love Jonathan Brooks as a player, but he's kind of right. I think they're going to run Chuba into the ground this year, knowing that we're not going to pay him next year, and he's just auditioning for another team. It's kind of like, dude, you got him on 1 year, just feed him the ball, like give him as many opportunities as you can, because we already got our future running back waiting in the ranks, and you still probably got Miles Sanders for another year maybe. So, I think Chuba is going to have a bigger year than people are expecting as well.
No, that's a great point.
I wanted to ask,
yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask, get your guys. I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this. Again, I was thinking about football last night, and if the run game is going and we're having success this season, how likely is it, and how would you guys react to, or I guess a better way I could phrase the question is, how much sense would it make if we're having success running the ball, we're going into the trade deadline where we have a good record, and they decide to move off of they trade an Adam Thielen or Chuba, the gentleman that was speaking before me. Chuba's in the final year of his contract with us. He's auditioning for another team, and thanks to Fitterer, and I am trying my hardest not to cuss that man out right now. But thanks to Fitterer, like the contract that he gave Sanders and everything, like no matter how well Chuba plays this season, like if he goes out there and balls, he's playing himself out of the Carolina. So if you know you're not going to be able to bring him back, and the team offers you something for him mid-season, him and or Thielen, like how much sense would it make for them to move off those guys? Like if we're winning, or if the season's kind of like we're a 500 team at that point, like would they do it at all? Or
I mean, your guess is as good as ours. Who the hell would be qualified here to know what they're going to do? None of us. It would all be a guessing game. And for that matter, everyone in the mainstream media, they don't know. The beat reporters might have the best opportunity to know, but even then, they still don't know, because unless you're inside the walls, you have no clue. No one does. And I think it doesn't matter, because what I think I see from the leadership of this is we are going to get the guys that we need, and we're going to keep those guys for as long as we need them to shine for us in order for us to get to a goal of being successful again. So I think it's not even, I'm not saying it's a bad question. There are no bad questions, but no one here is qualified to answer that. And no one in the mainstream media is qualified to answer that. The only people that truly know are inside the walls.
Well, and I think we also have to look at Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis and how they have put together this football team. And I think maybe you can look there for some clues. And I think that they really are looking to be advantageous So you saw what they did in with the waiver wire, them being so high up. They chose to be aggressive with it. And I think so much of it just depends on how many of our other offensive weapons have shown some real steam. Because if you have a scenario where Jonathan Mingo, Deontay Johnson, and Xavier Legette are looking good in this offense, and hell, let's be optimistic. Let's say Jatavion Sanders is like really coming into his own. Like, then that sort of puts you in a scenario where you're like, well, okay, maybe we would be okay moving on from Adam Thielen if we know that there's a few teams in the market that are looking to add a veteran wide receiver to win right now. It also depends on our record. It depends on the record of the NFC South. There's so many, injuries. There's so many moving pieces. But I do feel like with Dan Morgan, even more so than some previous regimes, I think they're going to try and be aggressive if they feel like they need to be. And I don't know. It just depends on how much urgency there is around this Panthers organization this year. Because they might blow away their own expectations and decide, no, you know what? We don't want to trade people away. We want to add some people onto this team right now. You're just never
Cody,
too early.
maybe his point was more or less along the lines of, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe you were saying like if his price tag gets beyond where we could pay him, I guess. Is that what you were asking?
To
That
JG?
that could be a scenario.
I was just asking like if my apologies. I was more so wanting
Hey, don't ever apologize. You're good.
More so wanting everyone's opinions on if that were to happen. Like, how would you feel if we're having success?
Oh, how would you feel?
Great.
Yeah, like
I would feel
reach
great
that point.
because you think about it. I think about it from a holistic perspective. Like 2 months ago or 3 months ago, everybody on this panel was like, I don't know. I don't think there's anybody here on the team that you can just say they're safe. And that's true.
Yeah.
100% true. So if Dan and Dave thought that it was a smart move for this team to stay competent and stay competitive and stay working with the pieces that they had, I would not be super upset to get rid of probably 60% of the roster if they thought that it was a move that would help us. You know, like just like Cody was saying, if XL and Johnson and Mingo and all these guys are having, Coker shows out in one play because, for whatever reason, you know what I'm saying? The value of Thielen and the value of Hubbard, they're going to go up and down a little bit, but they're not going to fluctuate much from what they are now. Like, because they've already got tape on them from previous years and years. So I don't think their stock could go up or down a little bit, but I don't think it's going to change very much. If we find a team that needs a wide receiver or needs a running back right away, there could be a situation where we're down a linebacker, or we could use a little help on the D line, or we need a center. I mean, whatever. I feel like Dan and Dave are the guys you want in that room that are going to wheel and deal and trade this for that, and make the team better in that perspective. For me, I would be happy, I guess.
Yeah.
I would be all right if they did it, if it was for a if it
like
was
a good value,
or I mean, if it was
cause.
good value, I would be all right. Because neither one of those guys are futures. But I do think it would affect the team at certain positions. Chuba is well respected. Adam Thielen is still looked at as a veteran leader, and he's strongly looked at. I think that they would have to take in consideration, how much he's participating. I mean, if Adam Thielen is your second leading receiver, you would be dumb to trade him just cause. I mean, he's maybe older, but he ain't dumb and he ain't lazy. He ain't showing his age yet. Let me put it that way. Now,
Yeah.
if somebody calls up and says, "I'll give you a first round pick or an early second round pick,"
Yeah, I
well, you
can't
know,
imagine.
that's entirely different. That's entirely
Right.
different.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I'm like you. I don't think that. I think there would be a highly possible scenario where Chuba Hubbard or Miles Sanders is traded by trade deadline simply because Brooks will be healthy. He'll be wanting to get playing time. He may have a little playing time by then. Sanders' contract makes him hard to trade, but at the very same time, if he's a decent backup, then that's okay. But Chuba Hubbard, I don't think he has a future on this team. I really don't. And I agree with somebody said the other day, or somebody said earlier, that I believe the Panthers are going to do their best to run him into the ground and
Yeah.
start fresh this year. I think
Well, I
that's the
wouldn't
reason
say
why
like.
they drafted. I really do
I
think
mean,
that's why they drafted Brooks.
maybe it's semantics, but I'd say he's more of a transition piece in that he ended up holding up
Yeah,
his own,
that's fine. That's
and they're
different
like
wording may be better.
yeah, semantics, but still, like I think he's holding up his own, and I think they have a place for him on the offense, and as long as that happens, and the trade, if a trade ever comes through, if the value of that is in Dan's mind worth more than he is staying here, then they make that. You know what I mean? But I don't see. I think Dan is a different type of GM overall. I speculated on this a couple months ago, but I genuinely see him as being. I don't know. I don't see us making the same moves under Dan that we did under our previous GM. You know, where he was just willy nilly. Like it looked like he was throwing shit at the board and seeing if it stuck. And I don't think that is going to happen. I think if it makes sense, then they make that type of move. But it's got to really make sense for them, you know, all around trade wise. And, you know, like, I think you'd only see that if you saw an upgrade to the position somehow. If you saw, like, oh, Brooks is going to be, I don't know. I'm just speculating. So,
Yeah.
Right.
No, I mean, that's a great point. And whoever said that on whatever podcast that was, I mean, that is the truth, though. Like, and it's the nature of the running back market. And we've had a lot of conversations about this before too, that inevitably the running back has been devalued in the NFL in terms of, well, they're sort of replaceable, and you're not really going to sink a lot of long-term money into a running back depending on who ends up being on the market. It seems like every year the running back market gets better and better of name guys that you're like, I would love to have that guy on the team, you know? So, you know, as unfair as it might be, that position is sort of expendable. And Chuba has been through a lot of coaching turnaround and staff turnaround in his time here. That being said, I have been one of the biggest Chuba Hubbard defenders in all of Panthers podcasting, no matter what pod you listen to. I'm a fan of Chuba. I think he's a hard runner, and I really like what he has the potential to do this year for the Carolina Panthers. I took him in one of our C3 dynasty drafts. I put him in my lineup this week. I really like Chuba Hubbard this year and think that he's going to do some damage. I did want to bring this up to y'all. This is the line for the Panthers and the Saints. They have Saints at -4.5, over under a 42. Do y'all, I mean, how are you viewing this matchup? I heard it said that right now this is like a battle of the offensive lines because a lot of people don't know if the Saints O-line will be able to hold up to our defensive line, which brings up another interesting point. So we're going to talk about trenches here because the Panthers released K'Lavon Chaisson at a time when they are actively telling fans that we don't know who our outside linebacker is going to be opposite of Jadeveon Clowney. So
I don't want to overtake it, but I only have one sentence to say, and if I may,
go ahead. Then I'm gonna introduce somebody. Go ahead.
I'd argue it's a coaching battle and not an offensive line, defensive line battle. I'd argue it's a coaching battle, a chess match.
Between
and I
Dennis
think we win.
Allen and Dave Canales.
Mm-hmm. Who can play their pieces better?
Yeah,
and put them in the right spot.
That's a great point. Let me go to Diesel Skills, and then I'll introduce somebody into the show. Deez, do you want to talk about this trench battle between the Panthers D line and the Saints offensive line. But what are you looking at right there, and what do you make of Caleb Chase on basically being outed before we've even named the opposite outside linebacker?
Well, it looks like development has overtaken guys that the Panthers were familiar with. Because Walsh, our defensive line coach, came from Jacksonville, and he was part of that squad that drafted Caleb Vaughn. But they made a decision to cut him. For who? For Sheriff, the guy we just got from Seattle. They decided that Iku Leota was better than Caleb Chase on, and they decided, there's one more over there. But anyway, the guys on the roster were better than Caleb Vaughn. So that's the route they decided to go. DJ Johnson was the one I was looking for. So whoever Panthers fans want to believe on the opposite side of Clowney is going to be the future for this Panthers defense. I mean, a lot of us are open to it. It's funny how a lot of these defensive conversations have come full circle where we felt bad about these two positions. Like when we began the offseason, we felt bad about defensive end and we felt bad about cornerback. And then we felt a little better about cornerback, and now we're right back there where we're not really sure. So we're looking for young guys to make plays. And I feel like DJ Johnson can be effective against the run. We even saw him get some pressure, and I believe a sack in a preseason game. So that's a good sign. Iku Leota led in PFF score during one preseason game. I believe that was the first one. So that's a good sign. So maybe these guys are better than we really think they are. Or maybe the case is it's still just a hole. And that's what's interesting about this game coming up Sunday. We still don't know, but we're going to find out real soon if pass rush is a problem for the Panthers and if cornerback is a problem for the Panthers. And I find it very interesting to see how this kind of plays out. I've got high hopes, Cody, because, I'm a big-time Panthers fan. Yeah. But if you're doubtful of what we're putting on the field on Sunday, then I'm there with you too as well, because I have my doubts and concerns. But I'm just hoping that these guys are able to find a way to make some plays, and that's the biggest thing for the Severo defense. And what it lacked last season was making those plays, causing those sacks, forcing turnovers, getting those interceptions. Those are the things we need to see. And the younger guys, the guys that do it, the better off the Panthers are.
Absolutely. And then Ajiro Rivero, he was questioned by the media, and he said that Derek Brown is underrated as a pass rusher. And since Brown wants to turn some of these pressures into more sacks, he would go on to say he believes Derek Brown can get 8 to 10 sacks this year.
What's so funny, Cody?
Incredible. Go ahead.
Do you remember watching the film breakdowns last year where we saw the pressure applied from Derek Brown, but we didn't see it sync up with Brian Burns? They weren't syncing. They weren't on the right page. They were like, Brian would almost like have the spot to get at the quarterback, but he would flush him out of the pocket the wrong way. 90%, or I don't know what the percent is. I'd have to go look. Don't quote me on it. But a high percent of the time, he would flush the pocket in a different. So if you had someone that would sync up and would be on the same page, I think you'd get some. I think Clowney paired up with Brown gets you a different result than it did Brian Burns with, let's say, Brown.
I think that would be
I'm gonna say what you just said, but I'm gonna say is pairing Brown up with Robinson, because you know what? Again, both Robinson and Brown are very good against. They're very good run defenders. We just paid Brown, and you talk about the pressures that he gets, but Robinson is also a player that is, if you're double teaming Brown, I'm gonna trust Robinson in his one-on-one matchup, along with Jadeveon Clowney, along with if I'm not mistaken, his name's James Sheriff, and these unknown guys we have. They're going to have one-on-one matchups. I believe that Evero, Canales, Morgan, they identified, they cut Caleb Chase on. They identify, hey, these guys always have dog in them, but these guys in particular have a little bit more than him. Let's get someone else in here that can help add to the pass rush. with Brown and like I said, opposite him, Robinson. Those two guys. My apologies again. Shy Total, Robinson, and Derek Brown. Those three guys working the interior of any NFL or offensive, any offense's interior. They're your guard to guard. You push that pocket in, you collapse it from all sides. It doesn't matter which way the quarterback tries to scramble. Now, Jadavion and whoever else is opposite him, you're on cleanup duty because that pot like that's the thing that had me excited when they brought in Robinson. I immediately, hey, you're not running it up the middle. We're gonna get you into third and longs. And as I don't even know if it's a secret or anything. It's been noted. Derek Brown is very much a damn good pass rusher. I was joking with my brother, and we're both nerds. We both grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, and I was laughing. I was like, all of this energy and this warranted, all this energy surrounding Derek Brown and what he did last season. And I'm joking with them like, homie only went Kyle King. He didn't even actually go super. Once he starts getting home, those sacks, those pressures start racking up. That's him elevating his game one more level. That's him actually going super saiyan. And again, I think bringing in a Robinson, somebody else who, again, you're not going to feel comfortable leaving that guard on an island, like one-on-one, block him and do that every rep, and he's not going to win some of those matchups. So now you give Brown. We talked about Burns getting a partner in crime when he had Reddick. Now you give Brown a guy opposite of him who you can't just you got to pay him his respects too. Now Derek Brown's going to get some opportunities, and you pair that up with a guy Jadeveon Clowney, the talent that he's displayed throughout his career. The one thing, the sack numbers haven't always been there for Jadeveon, but he's always able to cut his teeth back on that. Hey, ain't nobody running over me. So get the opposing offense into third and long, collapse that pocket, do it by committee.
Do you think we could make the argument it's chemistry based, not necessarily talent based? I mean, it could be both, but maybe they've got better chemistry together.
Like, it's not like we don't have talent either. You know, I feel like it's definitely in chemistry, but I mean, Jadeveon Clowney, former first round pick, Derek Brown, just paid him top 5, a top 10 pick. It's like, again, DJ Johnson, we traded up for him. Not the greatest, but we're expecting a lot from him. You bring in Shy Tuttle and Ashawn Robinson. I have always been a proponent of collapsing the pocket. Can you collapse the interior of the offensive line? And I think that the Panthers are in a good position to do that. But I also know that the edges are suspect for New Orleans. So I put a poll in the chat for everyone to participate if they would like. I said, who is your odds-on favorite for emergent Panthers pass rusher this year? Derek Brown, Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Johnson, or Iku Leota? And again, if you're on what Ejiro Rivera was on, he thinks that Brown can have between 8 and 10 sacks. That would be huge for us. But let me welcome someone else into the show. We got Sean back on the free-for-all. Sean, what did you make of this matchup between the Panthers defense, the defensive line, and the Saints offensive line?
Dude, I think we can get 3-4 sacks, honestly, man. Seriously, at least one from our interior defensive line.
Per game?
No, this game, dude.
Yeah, he's saying this one.
We're talking about.
I feel you on that, Sean, because Penning's terrible.
Right, and then they got a. I thought I heard they have a rookie, right tackle as well, who has looked suspect in training camp. He's looked like freaking Icky did last year. Like I've heard that Saints fans are pissed because they didn't take a guard or whatever or interior like we did. I've heard that on different podcasts or whatever, but yeah, dude, I think we could dominate. Our D-line, our front seven, I feel like we can dominate. Just how a zero puts them in the perfect positions to succeed. You ain't got to be the best player as long as your DC or your coaches put you right where you or Shaq, like, just go right here. Like in Shaq's interview, he was like how he was talking about Luke and TD and Charles Johnson. They was like, look, whenever he was a rookie and he came in, they was like, look, do this, we'll make you right. Just play, we'll make you right. And that's what Shaq was talking about. With the rookies that are coming in, just do your job, man. Play hard, man. I'll make you right. So I feel really good about our front seven, even though we got a lot of moving pieces there. I still feel really good about that. I still feel really good about our secondary. I feel really good about this whole team right now. I don't know what it is, dude. I do. I feel really good about this whole team, man. I do.
It does feel better than last year, doesn't it? Right? Like, I'm not going crazy, right? Like,
No,
there
not
is
at
some
all.
magic in the air, right?
Yes, dude.
I'm telling you, it's,
I feel it.
I think I might have shared this with you guys before, but for those who don't know, I was in the military for 9 years. I served in the Army.
Awesome.
Dude,
thank you, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it. But my first year in, I can only imagine what an NFL player might be feeling, a rookie. But my first year in the military, you're still adjusting. You're still trying to feel it out. You need those people, those veteran guys, to show you what right looks like. I was blessed because when I joined, the section I ended up in, I had great leadership. Like from the guy to my right, next rank up, all the way through the chain of command. It took off for me, and it was a noticeable change because as my career went on, I noticed that in different areas, different units, it wasn't ran as efficiently as funny as it might sound. This is my second year in the military. We get a change of command and a change of responsibility. We get a new first sergeant, a new commander. These dudes hadn't known each other prior to taking over the battery, but the unity that they displayed, the professionalism, like they didn't know each other all that well, but because they vibed so well, those vibes, it was like from them down. Like till this day, that first sergeant, that commander, if I were to run into him, it's all the honorifics. I'm not in the military anymore, but it's gonna be sir, first sergeant. I'm not calling them by their names. Till this day, if they hit me up like, hey, some shit's going down, I need you to come help me out. Bet. Tell me where, when, and how much I gotta bring. Like they had that unit, myself and every other soldier that was there. If it was 100 to it's 10 to 1. For every 10 enemies or for every one of us, it's 10 of them. I was ready to go to war, bro. Like if we gotta go, we going, and that was the motherfucker I want to do. Hey, Lee, he say go this way, I'm going that way. And that's the same vibes I'm getting from Canales and Morgan. Like Canal, like their unity, they vibing off each other. The shit makes sense. So it's like, hey, we got us a tight end that can actually run routes and catch the ball. Let's incorporate what he does well. We got a receiver in Xavier Legette. Hey, here's some things that he does well. Let's incorporate that. A coach that's, oh shit, I got talent. Let's just put some shit together that makes sense, and it's going to put these guys in a position to succeed. Let's bring in people that are going to help execute this plan. It makes sense to bring in two guards for this for any quarterback, let alone it being an undersized quarterback. Let's go and draft a running back. Let's emphasize the running game to take pressure off of this young quarterback. Again, the best of the best have that. Part of Matthews, the tight end. I love what he said in a training camp interview earlier. He talked about how Bryce didn't have guys really covering for him last season. You go over and you look at Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs. Mahomes has Kelsey. He has guys that are going to cover for him. Like last year, Bryce didn't have that. Your coach, his coach, the head coach of the Carolina Panthers wasn't covering for the quarterback he drafted. I don't know what system that was, but it didn't fit that man's strength. This season, not only did you get a coach that has a track record of, hey, I'm gonna get the best out of who I have on the team. I worked with Russell Wilson when he was at his best. I helped Geno Smith turn around his career. Baker Mayfield was here with the Carolina Panthers and looked like a bum. Hey, come over here, Baker. I got you, bro. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Got Baker out there throwing for 4,000 yards, 30
Yeah.
highest touchdown total of his career. High, low, bro. When it makes
We
sense,
have reasons to be
people start coming
optimistic.
to you,
May I
when
ask a
people start
question
coming to you,
after
it
you're
makes
finished, sorry?
sense. Oh no, you go. I'm been running my mouth too much.
Well, hold that thought real quick, Strats, because I want to introduce somebody into the show. I want to welcome in Clay Ropp from the Ropp Star Report here on YouTube, fellow content creator. Clay, what's up, brother? How are you, man?
What's up, fellas? How are we doing this evening?
Doing good, man. Welcome back to the Friday Free for All, brother.
I know, man. I've been trying to get my ass in here. I've been so busy, but
Oh, it's okay, man. Happy to have you. And yeah, we're just in time, man. We're previewing this matchup with the Saints. And hey, let me welcome someone else in the show, and we'll have a full, well-rounded conversation about this. Listen, man, it wouldn't be a matchup with the Saints if we couldn't get a Saints fan in here, man. Welcome, Gambit the Saint, to the Friday Free for All. Gambit, how are you, bro?
Who dat, Cody? Who dat?
Keep pounding,
Saints are
brother.
gonna
That's
come marching in, Cody.
Oh Lord.
Dennis Allen taking us to the promised land. Derek Carr, Kamara. We're ready to
All right.
eat.
You ready? All right. Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Let me start with my man, Rob. Clay, what is your assertion, or how did you feel about this matchup? What are some of the key aspects that you're going to be looking forward to offensively and defensively? And just overall, how did you feel we match up with New Orleans?
I mean, so I had a fellow partner of mine who's a Saints YouTuber as well. His name's TJ. He does the State of the Saints podcast. I had him on my show last night, and he was talking. We were kind of talking about it, breaking down the game together. And to me, it sounds like. I mean, honestly, he was telling me that he's not. He sees that the experience of this team might overwhelm the Panthers in this game, but not to a certain extent to where this game can't be close and where the Carolina couldn't make an upset. But he is very skeptical of Dennis Allen. He's very skeptical of he was kind of alluded to that he was very skeptical of his vice president / GM. But he's very skeptical of that offensive line. Defensively, he's fine with, which I can understand, right? Because you finished last year top 10 finish in passing yards allowed last season. You were only allowing 19.2 points per game last season. You bring in a two-time back-to-back Super Bowl champion, Willie Gay. You bring in a young Chase Young. So, I mean, the Saints fans are acting, but the problem is the Saints fans are acting like they signed a prime Lawrence Taylor. Like, let's be real. Like, yeah, that duo has some potential, but that's a long way from actually, let's say, them dominating the field. Like, again, Dennis Allen, I think, is far from being a great head coach in the NFL. I think he's a great defensive-minded guy. I think he could be a great defensive coordinator, but to me, as a head coach, he just doesn't match the thing.
Man, your guys' coach hasn't won one game.
Excuse me. Say that one more time. Gambit.
Your guys' coach hasn't won one game.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not. Listen, I'm not bashing your team. So I mean, I haven't even got to finish.
Well, he's coming out of the gate hot. Oh, he's just got you in the crosshairs now.
Yeah, I see that.
All right. It's
I just
time
don't like
I
people
put up
talking about my
controller.
Saints.
It's time I put up my controller. The issue with not winning a game is true, but he also hasn't lost a game yet.
Statistically,
Good point,
he also hasn't played as pathetic of a job as a head coach as he has. I mean, let's be real. It wasn't that Dennis Allen was hired as much as he was anointed. He was anointed because the owner of the Saints is a pathetic jackbutt who hasn't figured out yet how you run an NFL franchise. I mean,
so you're saying he got the spot like our coaches got the spot previously.
From my understanding,
I know this guy that we chat with often named Christensen, who is absolutely a Saints fan. He disguises
I'm just saying, all-time record, Saints winning 30-23.
Dang, it's a 30-20. That's the all-time record. Well,
yes, sir.
That's going to change now, baby. We about to say Bryce Young on y'all ass. We about to say Derek Brown on y'all ass. We about to say J.C. Horn on y'all ass.
Let's go. All I was doing was making a statement that I heard from a fellow Saints YouTuber that's what he's telling me. I wasn't sitting there saying.
Yeah, my cousins, auntie, uncles, nephew also told me the Panthers suck.
I mean, you could just tell me something I don't know, please.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've heard it multiple times and I've heard it multiple ways. Just come up with something else.
So listen, my question to y'all, and this is just in general, what Carolina Panther has the most on the line this year? Like some people say Bryce, he has to prove worthy of that trade that we made for him. Mm-hmm. Some people say J.C. Horn, who really doesn't stay healthy a lot. Mm-hmm. Some people think that it's a Cameron Quaner, who is yet to prove himself to be the left tackle of the future. Yeah. There's a lot of good answers here. Right. What player on this team has to have a good year in 2024 the most?
It's definitely Bryce Young. There's no question.
Why do you say Bryce?
Because it's not the investment of course is massive, right? Like, I mean, I get all that, but at the same time, you're also banking on him again to be your franchise guy. Like and if he doesn't turn out to be that guy, this 2 to 3 year rebuild that we are all speaking about, that goes to 5 years now, because you got to think about it from that standpoint. Then you've got to go out and get another guy. You got to figure out, are you going to go and get a veteran? Are you going to go, or are you going to try to, obviously.
Well, can I twist this?
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean, sorry. I think I'm lagging because I thought you were.
I didn't hear what you said.
I think it lagged on me. I thought you were done. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you're fine. But anyways, I mean, it's definitely Bryce Young. I mean, I think J.C. Horn does have some pressure, of course, obviously, because the injury-prone thing, right? You want to prove that wrong, right? Yeah. But I think when you look at it from an investment standpoint and a future standpoint, you have to say Bryce Young.
Well, granted, this would be like a smaller percent. This is like maybe, say, 10 to 20% of his career snaps, but like, let's say Bryce doesn't get all the calls that other NFL quarterbacks might get, and he's smaller. He's probably one of the smallest in the league, but roughing the passer calls, Panthers have typically never got that. And even last year, he got smacked like many a times harder last year than Mahomes got in that last night's game, and did not get that roughing call that often. So I'm wondering what factor that plays into this too.
Right.
That's a good point. Do we finally get to have the rubber band effect from Cam Newton? And when I say the rubber band effect, is when you pull it far to one extreme in one direction and you let go, it snaps back the other way. Well, with Cam Newton, we had this big, strong quarterback that never got any of the flags because everybody just assumed, oh, he's big, he's strong. And famously, y'all might remember the one time when the referee told him, oh, you're not old enough to get that call yet. Always some bullshit.
Oh, my God.
Do we think that maybe Bryce will finally, get some of these calls? Or how about this? Are they going to be looking to protect the little guy? How about that? Let's pose it that way.
I don't know.
I want to answer this question, but I also don't because I asked the question.
I mean, is that not how to say it? Like,
Well, no, you're not wrong. But like, here's the thing: is like, can I just say, I feel like the Panther, if we statistically, and I haven't done this, but we should do this. It's not hard to do this. we should look at the average typical penalties that each team gets. I'd say, and there's some factors in there that you'd have to really calculate very well, but on the whole, I would say the Panthers have gotten the shit end of the stick more often than not. Than most other teams. If maybe there's a team that's ahead of us in that.
Next, though. Sorry, I just want to say
maybe there's a team ahead of us in that, but like we're close. I would argue we're close to the bottom 20% in getting calls going our way. Yeah. Typically,
well,
for the quarterback, for the offensive line, for all that stuff.
I think another question that leads to that, what you were asking, is when is Carolina going to minimize their penalties? Because that was huge last year. If we go look at the rankings last year, if I'm not mistaken, we were one of the top teams, or like one of the most
penalized.
Yeah, some percentage of that. What I'm saying is some percentage of that is like literally because we are the Panthers, and maybe we did have more. Typically, on the whole, we had more penalties because we were like less locked in. Like we had coaching staff changes midway through the year. Like all that shit adds up. Yeah. But overall, if you were to remove that kind of factor, if you were to look at us over the past like 10 years, I would still argue, out of 10 potential moments that could be called against the team, we'd get all 10 of them. And they would let a few more slide if we weren't the Panthers, is what I was trying to speculate too.
I have a question for the panel.
Do I hear a Christian?
Yeah, go ahead, Gambit.
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 Statistically speaking, what are you guys going to do with the number 1 overall pick?
Oh, boo this man. Boo.
Why are we picking fights right now? Why are we picking fights?
Probably draft that defensive lineman from Tennessee.
I was going to say to the point of penalty. One thing that Canales spoke on earlier, I believe it was a short while after he was hired. One of the things that Canales spoke on in an interview is he talked about how last year that team, like you can say what you want for it, there was talent on that team. The coaching wasn't there to get those guys prepared. To that point, when you have as many pre-snap, like penalties are going to happen. There's holding on every play. There's defensive, offensive pass interference on every play. It happens on every play. Those things that happen post-snap, they happen. It's going to. Yeah. What you can control is the pre-snap penalties, and Canales addressed it in that interview. Said that there were a number of times where the Panthers simply shot themselves in the foot. You'd have a drive going. I think back to week 1 against the Falcons, Bryce's first game, for all the turnovers that Bryce committed in that game, for everything that was going sideways. You're putting the drive together, and the rookie makes a mistake. You live and you learn, and you live and learn from it. Rookie makes another mistake, you live and you learn from it. We have a drive going, and Miles, the veteran running back that we brought in over all season, thank you, Federer, he fumbles the ball. For me, in that moment, that was the deflating factor of the game. You could overcome Bryce's mistakes, but now the veteran players are making mistakes. Like ball security, that is a mental thing. That is a want thing. Coach is not coaching the guys up. You get lax. You got to drive going for this young quarterback. This shit is important. You fumble the ball. Your fumble hurts a hell of a lot more than Bryce's interceptions did. So
I agree with you.
I agree with you. A coach like Canales, who again, for me, I'm vibing with what he's saying because everything Canales is saying, I'm listening to his interviews. It's like, damn, he's saying the shit I would say if I was a coach. And then his claim, the insight to how they want things to be done and how they're going to go about executing that. Like sharing enough to where, okay, this makes sense. And still, you there's more to it. He's just not letting you know.
Right. I agree with you, but all I was saying is, like, let's say we do everything right. Don't you feel like in the past few years, we have been up and down. There's been a lot of problems, but like if we got it right this year and we do execute, do you not think that, like, in my heart of hearts, I genuinely feel like we still will get some calls that are like, what the fuck, man? Like, we're already battling uphill
I
against
hope so,
everything.
but let me answer that though. My thing with that stretch is as much as I want that to happen, I could easily see a scenario where it doesn't. So I'm just not gonna go into this year expecting to get calls. And I'm a stickler.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not expecting it either, Cody. That's exactly. I agree with you.
I'm just saying, as a rule of thumb, like I want him to get calls.
But why? Why is it the Panthers that have the work? Like, is it just me?
But the issue is that this team has not been disciplined. Right. Well, because Frank Wright didn't discipline this football team. That's why.
But let me say
discipline is a huge issue.
Discipline is a huge issue. I'm a firm believer that you should be blaming penalties if you lose the game anyway. Like, yes, you can be penalized too much, but if you're getting penalized, if I don't believe that a couple bad penalties are going to lose the game. It comes down to your efficiency on offense and defense. Now, that doesn't mean I want to be a penalized team, not at all. But if it's just a couple bad penalties that do or don't go your way that ultimately decide a football game, then you didn't do your job enough to put it away. I'm very
I disagree with you. I think that I think we have a higher statistical rate of getting penalties than any other team.
Yeah, but
I can't prove it. I'd have to look up the data. But my gut intuition is telling me I think our team has one of the highest % possibilities of gaining those penalties per play. And last year was a bad example because we did have a horrible structure of leadership. But I think if we had, even with a good structured leadership like I think we might have now, I still see us getting these like ticky-tack penalties this year that are make or break at the wrong moments.
60 yards.
This is kind of a cheap, like low-hanging fruit, but I disagree with that because if you go back to 2015, obviously Cam and what happened that season, but even 2017 after, the last time the Panthers had a positive win record, those teams were very disciplined. There weren't as many, like if you look at the penalties as in its the total amount of penalties, again, post snap, those things are going to happen. Look at the number of penalties the Panthers committed 2015, 2017 pre-snap. That was a very disciplined team. They weren't jumping off sides. They weren't face mask things that they were very disciplined. Those are penalties that you can control. And if you have a coach that knows how to get the best out of his players, we play. I hate to butcher what it is that Canales says, but how he refers, like, we celebrate with ourselves. We go out there and we're trying to beat ourselves and like be the best version of ourselves. That message, you know what right is. These are all NFL. These are all professional players. They've been playing this game for a while. So you know if you're going in to make a tackle, keep your hands low. You should be wrapping up around his waist or something. Don't be reaching up high. If you're out of position, don't make a boneheaded decision. Don't make a bad situation worse. Right? You line up. Be fully prepared. Be of the right state of mind. Be in the moment, so that you're not jumping off sides. You're hearing the snap count. You hear the play. You know what you're supposed to be doing. That is all on the coaches to get those guys coached up. I believe that is the most significant difference between Canales and what he'll be for this team, this organization for years to come. Even under Ron, the team wasn't able to remain consistent.
I agree. I was mainly focused on the quarterback calls. I was mainly focused on the Bryce calls.
Let me go to Pickle, and then I'm going to add a name to the conversation. Because, again, the question was, what player is in desperate need of a good 2024? And I want to bring the conversation back to that. And I'll throw a name out after Pickle goes. Go ahead, Pickle.
Yeah, to answer your question, Cody, I was going to say Icky. That's who I was going to say. But
that's a great one.
I'm not going to, and I'm going to explain why briefly. If Icky fails here, if let's say he has a bad year and they just get done with him, they release him into free agency. We don't expect that to happen, but hypothetically say it does. Somebody's going to pick him up with the desire to put him on the right side or the inside. If Bryce has a horrific year and he gets cut, nobody's going to pick him up with the thoughts of moving him to a different position. He's done. So
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. To answer your question, I think it has to be Bryce. But going back to what they're trying to talk about penalties, and there's something that we have to go back further. You've got to go back past Frank. You got to go back all the way to the Matt Rule era. The beginning of the Matt Rule era, they were not Matt Rule treated everybody like college players, like college kids. And they weren't taught discipline to start with. So a lot of these guys that's been here for as long as they've been here with Matt Rule don't know discipline. You got certain guys like maybe Ian Thomas, maybe Shaq and Ian. They may know that, and not counting the guys from that came in the last few years. They may know discipline at one time, but it's been so long since they have it. They have to be reminded of that. It's going to take I think it's going to take a couple of years to get some of the bad habits out of here, because some of these guys were taught bad habits from the time they were a rookie.
But don't you think that they've removed the people that had the bad habits, Pickle?
So some of them you're never going to get that bad habit out.
Yeah, that's why I think they removed them off the team.
That could be why Marshall's no longer with us.
Yep.
So let me throw a name out there for y'all that I haven't heard yet, and I put it in the poll on the YouTube page: Deontay Johnson. Because look, Deontay Johnson's in a contract here. Like, if he's going to get an extension here in Carolina, this is his year to prove it and do so.
True.
And we have been told by Deontay himself and essentially by the coaching staff that he's the number one wide receiver option on this team right now. So, man, like, that's a big deal. Like, he has to instantly replace Adam Thielen as the number one wide receiver this year.
I will say,
take that with a grain of salt, because no coach in this. Did you not hear the Belichick? Granted, none of you like Belichick, but did you hear Belichick finally does talk, and he goes on these podcasts and he actually says words now. And when he was talking about things, he was saying effectively, we're not going to broadcast our gameplay to you guys. So when you have, I don't know, I just don't see it as being, I don't know. I feel like maybe that's not broadcast. Maybe that's internal. Like, maybe some of these moves are made.
Well, I was going to say, though, like, for the Deontay Johnson thing, like, I was going to say you probably want to extend him now. And here's the reason why. Because it actually has to do with the cap space, right? You want to prevent a scenario so you can create additional cap space, because the Panthers, I think, should consider signing him because with the contract season now, because if you lock him in long term now, you can lower your cap hit right now in this upcoming season. And I think I saw it on Over the Cap. According to Over the Cap, it was like $7.1 million. So not only would that secure your wide receiver for the future, but also then you provide that financial relief. And I get that why you're saying like he could have some pressure on him to obviously perform here. But again, you also have to have that quarterback to throw in the ball.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it would just be hard for Panther fans to swallow a contract when we haven't really seen a ton of him yet.
Right.
I mean, I get the mindset behind it, but like also knowing how many bad contracts that we've signed before and how much dead cap we have to players that aren't even on this team anymore. It's a scary
I feel like
thing.
that's a tough question to pick. Like, who has the most pressure though, Cody? Because you could name so many people.
Right.
Really.
There's not too many wrong answers.
Right. There's not really a wrong answer here because really you could go.
I think Bryce is a wrong answer. I think Bryce is a wrong answer.
Red Swarm, where the fuck you at?
Hey, let me read. So I want to hear your thought about Bryce Johnson. Let me read this super chat. Red Swarm everybody's favorite resident Falcons fan, says with the $4.99, hey, if you pay us the C3 love bomb, we'll let you say whatever the hell you want, bro. Evening, gents. The season started last night. I wonder how many games the Panthers will lose this season. My money says 10 to 11. That's an improvement.
How many games are they in one season?
There's 17.
17.
Okay,
17
add
for the
7.
Panthers and Falcons.
Shut up, Christensen, for a minute. Oops, sorry, man. Add 7 to 10 or 11.
Right.
For the longest time, I mean, I'm talking months now. If you're listening, you can side with me. We've been saying we're going to win between 4 and 7 games.
Yeah, we ain't going crazy.
What Red is saying? He's just reversed. He's
It's
just saying
it's funny.
we've been saying the same damn thing for months now.
Yeah, Red.
It's funny. He just put it the right
That a
other way.
Falcons fan comes in and tells us the same
Come on here,
damn
Red.
thing we've been saying for months now.
Yeah, I mean, Red, he said,
Come on here, Red.
Red, will you, brother?
This is
he
where Pickle and I
basically said,
agree. Falcons suck.
he said we're going 7 and 10, or we're going 6 and 11. So that's what most fans have been
that's
saying.
what most fans have been saying.
Hey, man, okay. But I want to make sure that we get all the Panthers stuff. Look, I want to make sure that we get all the Panthers stuff out the way. Because at some point, I do want to talk about that game last night between the Ravens and the Chiefs, because that kind of started a whole bunch of discussion last night. But,
Cody,
are there any other...
Cody.
Let me go to my Saints fan real quick.
Yeah, just real quick.
Gambit, who is your player of the game between the Panthers and the Saints? So what player are you looking for on New Orleans to spark it out and get the win over Carolina?
Okay, I'll answer that. First thing, I just want you to know, last week I was a first-time watcher, and you gave Red Swarm like 2 hours of mic time.
What do you mean first-time watcher? You've been with us for months.
First-time watcher. I gave Red Swarm like 2 hours.
Christian, your voice is so obvious. You need a voice changer,
There's
bro.
a lot of first times for you, Christian. But I'm sure you ain't one of them.
He's trying to
I'm
play
out
it
of
off.
you right here.
Okay, I'll get back to topic. Okay,
okay.
I don't see why you all hate. Yeah, I was told this was a welcoming community.
Well, they lied to your ass.
All right, so tell me your point. Who is the Saints that's going to turn it on?
I'm just saying.
So,
Eric
come on,
Carr,
who's
Derek Carr?
Derek Carr. Okay, Derek Carr's
Carr.
going.
Yeah, he ain't going to get no pressure. You have nobody on the edges.
Damn.
He's going to have all day.
Derek Carr is going to be sacked 4 times in this game.
Who's going to sack him, Boo?
I wouldn't be surprised. Christian, what are you even talking about?
Who's going to sack him?
If you follow your history with Ivero, look at him when he was a defensive coordinator in Denver. It doesn't have to be one person.
Shaq and Brown might get one.
Anybody bring up ESPN stats with 22.
Pickle, I agree with you. And here's the other reason why. Is last year he had a makeshift defense where half of them were out by halfway through the season. So, and he still managed to, that was the strong suit of our entire friggin' team.
He's not.
So now they've actually poured money into it.
He's going to spread it out. His concept
They've rebuilt it.
The run.
Once
you stop the run, then your sacks are going to come from a corner.
And then the other, and here's the other factor, Pickle.
It's multiple people.
I want to get a shot.
Here's the other factor. Well, let me just say one last thing and then I'll stop. But the other factor is, how long is your defense out there? Well, when your offense is not out there, then what other side is? The defense, or maybe, I guess, special teams. But they're out there for one play. So if your offense starts humming, then you have less defense to have to be on the field. You see my point, right? So there's multiple facets in this that should be included when we talk about the whole thing.
Okay, no, that's a great point. Let me, Sean, let me get you in on the convo, bro. What do you think? Who do you think is going to get the majority of the sacks, and how many are the Panthers going to get against New Orleans?
Yeah, Sean, and we're glad you put a shirt on too, buddy.
Thanks. I mean,
He's just kidding.
All
Take it off.
right.
He's just kidding.
Hey, Christensen, don't tell him how to dress. You ain't
We're
his
all
daddy.
men here, dude. What the fuck?
That you know of.
Yeah, so tell me about that defense, man.
I
Who's
got-
going to get the most sacks for Carolina against the
Dude,
Orleans?
I'm with Pickle, man. I see us getting 3 to 4 sacks, and I bet one of them is gonna be a DB. That was my
Okay.
biggest thing, dude. One of them's gonna be a DB, bro. Coming right off the edge. Boom, hit him right in the back. Boom,
It's
fumble.
gonna have
Which
to be because you don't
one?
have any
Which
edge
one?
rushers.
Golly, dude. Our rookie, Cal Smith Wade.
I won't hold you to it. I'm just gonna look out
I
for
like
it.
that.
Hey,
like
no,
that.
that's
cool.
that's just a
I
bold
wouldn't be mad at it.
a bold prediction. There.
Yeah, no, I like that. I
Right.
like that. That's
And-
a that's
That's
a
a
good
bold
one.
prediction.
In
Another
22,
thing to think, or I
Yeah,
hope to
go ahead,
see
JD.
from
Go
the
ahead, JD.
defense, or what I'm guessing at what Evero and Canales are aiming at with the defense, because we know who we have at the outside linebacker position. Is Jadeveon Clowney is the only guy whose name has any kind of weight to it, any merit to it.
Yeah.
I'm banking on them again. Stop the run, get opposing teams into 3rd and longs. When you go out and Canales himself, and they asked him the question, were there any concerns about the DB room? And his answer, loved it. Straight faced, everything. That cheerful attitude, gone for the moment. Cold with it. He just said, not now. You go out and you get corners that are.
oh man, he lost.
Did you
Hey,
cut out for me, or you guys all cut
Yeah,
out?
no,
Yeah, he cut out.
you
Um,
dropped
Oh.
out, JD.
Yeah,
Hey, Cody,
real
I
quick,
do.
I want
Hey,
to
Am I
Cody, I
good?
do want to mention one thing to the pass rushing room real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, nowadays in the NFL, like proven talent is hard to come by in the NFL
Absolutely.
nowadays. I think that like the support we have is a flux, but screw the names on the back of the jerseys, right? Who cares, right? Like we can sit here and talk about it all day, but I think a sleeper in this edge rushing room, and after what I saw and I watched his game film, his preseason game film, I think Jamie Sherrick could be an absolute sleeper because he had 12 tackles and 3 sacks in 3 preseason games, and that led all rookie pass rushers. And we're talking about guys like Dallas Turner and all these other guys that were first round picks, and he had a better offseason than they did. So to pick up a guy like that and for him to come in here, he could be a guy we're sleeping on. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
If Evero's, we've seen Evero turn shit and turn it into gold.
Yeah.
So, I
Be
mean,
the next Louisville.
so you don't know what you got there. You don't know what you got there until it all comes together. I think I think in this pass rushing room, and I think what they've been doing too with this, I think this is my thinking is that they are with everything they've done with these restructures and these contracts and getting rid of guys that also have opened up some cap room. They might be looking at trying to maybe sign someone. I'm not saying maybe right now, but like maybe in the future, or maybe looking at something at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I would love that, man. Dude, I wanted his son Reddick to come back here. Like, I never wanted that dude to leave Carolina. I still wish he was here, man. I wanted him to come here and just be a headhunter. Hey, real quick, shout out to Red Swarm again for the C3 bomb. $4.99 says Cody, the field they're playing in on Sao Paulo is trash.
I'm
the
watching
NFL
right
is
now.
going to get
It's
some
so
Eagles
bad.
and
I'm
Packers
not
players.
surprised.
Yeah, I'm watching them right now. They're slipping all over the field.
It was a very bad decision.
Terrible.
It's a very bad decision.
And
to send
like
him.
apparently the players like felt fear
They
for
had to
their
stay in their
life
hotels.
going there. Yeah,
Well, the
like,
NFL told them to stay in their hotels and not wander outside.
Wow.
What
Heck
a
with that.
pathetic
I'd just be like,
job.
can we just fly back tonight?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what a
that's right.
pathetic
tonight.
job by the NFL. I mean,
Well, the
surely to
players-
God, you couldn't have
The
said, okay,
players
we're
are
going to have a
mad.
Sunday.
At least one or two of the players did interviews where they were like, my family, my friends, they wanted to come down. I told them
I
fucking
would
stay
tell them
there
to
because
stay where you're
I'm
at.
staying my ass in my
Don't
hotel
do
and
it.
I'm playing video games.
Yeah.
I'm
have
going
y'all
to
ever
play
watched
video
a
games
Brazilian
until game time.
actual soccer game and how crazy that shit gets down there?
I know.
Yeah, no.
I know.
God.
Well,
I mean,
holy shit.
They're trying
The-
to grow the NFL experience around the world.
Yeah.
But man, some of these I don't know, man. Right now it's a very low scoring game, and with the field like that, it's not surprising
Right.
as to why.
I mean, Cody, look at our stadium when it's soccer match versus when it's not. I think we broke a record for the most soccer fans on the inaugural game that we had last year, or was it last year or 2 years ago? I forget now. But and they get wild, they get crazy, which is fine, but still, like, I don't know. Can you imagine that shit in Brazil with already turmoil going on when stuff happens? Yeah.
No, I hear you, man.
But
so
I
the
want to touch on
Eagles
this
just
real quick.
scored a tush push. Go ahead, Pickle, and then I want to ask y'all a question about that game. But unless y'all have something else y'all want to talk about relating to this matchup with the Panthers and Saints, I did want to talk about the game last night for a minute. But go ahead, Pickle.
Real quick, I just wanted to go a little detail. In 22, Ivero was the defensive coordinator for the Broncos for his first defensive coordinator job. He had 13 different people get 36 sacks for that season. There was only one of them with the big name. Okay, and that was Bradley Chubb, and he was only there for 8 games. Okay, they didn't, and a lot of them were at the time were names nobody heard of. Okay, because you had DeMonte Jones was a defensive end. He had 6.5 sacks. Bradley Chubb was there for 8 games. He had 5.5 sacks. Brandon Browning, a rookie 3rd-round pick linebacker, had 5 sacks. Deshaun Williams, we know him, a defensive tackle. He had 4.5 sacks. Ghosty Jewell had 2.2 sacks. Jonathan Cooper, a 7th-round pick linebacker, had 2 sacks. DJ Jones had 2 sacks. Randy Gregory had 2 sacks.
You're throwing a lot of stats around.
It goes on. Yes, I am, for a reason. Okay, what Rivero does is stop the run, and then he brings pressure by more people than the coordinator can plan. The offensive coordinator can't plan for all these people to cover all these people. So therefore, you don't have one guy you have to watch. So if people think Derek Brown's the only pass rusher, I got news for you. Learn your football, because that's not how it's going to be.
Wasn't one of the reasons why they coveted one of them was because the Vikings run a similar system to what Evero does. And to what Pitt said last year, I don't know if you guys remember, how did that game end? Like, how did that Vikings and Panthers game end? If you're having trouble remembering, I'll go ahead and tell you. The Vikings their safety, finished that game with 3 sacks. I keep apologizing because it still pisses me off that Viking company couldn't understand that all the Vikings were doing throughout that entire game was bringing everyone into the box, showing blitz, and then sending extra. They were blitzing. They were putting pressure on Bryce, and there was never any adjustments. Ran over with, but when you look at what Evero's building, again, what I was trying to say earlier about the cornerbacks and their height, their length, something again that Canal said, length is forgiving. I'm banking on them trying to get teams into 3rd and longs. Those longer corners cover for a second or 2 longer. That gives your pass rush 1 or 2 more seconds to get home. And then when you look at what Evero's done in throughout years, similar to what the Vikings did to us last year, if we got to bring pressure, you live by the blitz, you die by it. But if you know you got DBs on the back end that a Horn, Mike Jackson, they're able to stay with their guy. Just stay with them for a second or 2 longer. That allows the pressure, though, the rush to get home.
Touchdown. Can you imagine if you are working and then in your job you have to fear for the fact that you might also be let go, and how that might influence your mindset? And how last year, with turmoil with Frank and everything going on, and the Athletic article and all the turmoil, and he still managed to pull off what he did with half of the defensive crew out on injured list for most of the year. So those types of factors aren't measured in statistical data. In NFL statistical data, no one is, as far as I know, no one is measuring that.
Right.
So it's a factor that should be included.
Right. And I brought this up on Spaces last night, and I will encourage y'all to listen to those we do them free on YouTube or on Twitter. On Mondays and Thursdays at 6:30. You don't have to participate if you don't want to. Hit the little icon that says it's anonymous and just listen along. We don't mind.
Pickle, can I come too?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Chris
Just as a listener, though.
This Gambit fake ID shit.
He's only allowed to listen.
Anyway, back what I was saying. I mentioned it yesterday. If this year fails, as far as defensively wise, it's going to be a mark on Canal or on Evero, whether we like it or not, because Evero's specialty in the league right now is to make something out of nothing. And this year we brought almost all his guys. We brought every Evero faithful guy that he's familiar with here. And he's surrounded by his guys. He's got his players are in place. If our defense fails to stop the run or apply pressure, that's going to set on Evero's head. You can say he don't have this and he don't have that, but that we didn't bring him here just so we can wait till we got a couple specialty players before he figures out what he's doing. He was brought here simply because he can make mincemeat, or he can make a meal out of mincemeat. That's what he was brought here for. You got to remember, originally he wasn't the original defensive end we wanted. He was the guy probably listed as number 2 on the list.
Yeah. Hey, let me get 2 more people in on this. Let me get Diesel Skills and Colby. I haven't heard from Cole in a while. Deez, did you want to jump in on this conversation? I don't know if we got D's or not. We'll come back to D's. Cole, do I got you, brother? All right, we'll come back to Cole. Sean, did you want to say something?
Yeah. Just a quick thing about Zero Evero. If he doesn't bring a top 10 defense, do you think he will still go out and get picked up as a head coach? And then if he does also, if he does go and get picked up as a head coach, we get a 3rd round pick, right?
We get 2 3rd round picks.
Two third round picks.
And you got to remember last year, Sean, the only thing that was good about the team last year that actually showed up on film was the defense.
Right.
And he had an interview,
so he's gone,
and he didn't get it. He didn't get it.
Right. Something else we need to remember. Next year is the last year under his contract. He signed a 3-year deal. If he doesn't get a head coach job this coming off season, he'll just walk out in free agency and we get nothing.
No, I know. But
this coming off season is our last opportunity, unless I want to be fair. I'm not trying to be mean to him at all. Don't take it that way.
You might be Pickle. Don't worry.
Dude,
you're just jealous because you know Tennessee gonna whip your ass.
Hey, we're gonna get on that shit later, Pickle. Don't do that right now.
Anyway, I understand, but the Panthers could easily resign him after this year. Say he goes for a couple of job interviews, he doesn't get it. David Tepper could say, "Hey, bro, I really like what you're doing. You know, we're growing something. I'm going to offer you an extension if you want it, and maybe a little bit more money to get you to stay here." And he may take that. That's happened in the league before with other people. That's just what I want to say.
And I think he would too. I think he'd take it.
It's possible. He seems happy here, but
yeah, he does.
You know, either he's happy here or he's a real good fake artist. One of the other.
No, I think he looks in his interview. He looked really.
Yeah,
really,
he looked content, and it ain't like. I mean, if he says, I need this guy over here. Yeah, I would imagine they're going after to getting him because. You got to remember, as much as some of us may love Shaq, some of us may love Josie Jules. Remember how hard we went after Patrick Queens.
I don't think anybody
If
loves
we
Josie
would have got
Jewell,
Patrick
do they?
Queens, who
Yeah.
would have not been here?
Yeah,
Shaq
no, I agree. We
or
definitely wanted
Josie?
Patrick Queen before we wanted
So
Josie
I
Jewell.
think we would have released Shaq Thompson and not Josie Jewell.
Hey, are
Josie
y'all
Jewell's a
watching?
hero
Are
guy.
y'all watching this game? Are y'all watching them
Yes.
slip and slide?
Yes.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's bad.
Yes.
It's bad. They're gonna get hurt.
Packers running
It's
back
terrible.
Yeah.
just busted his
They're going to turn it
ass,
into a
dude.
preseason game here in a
So,
little
hey,
bit.
my
I'm 100%
question.
convinced of that.
So listen, I wanted to go back to last night. If y'all were humoring me for a minute.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
assuming everybody watched that game last night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Am I being unfair to say that Lamar Jackson lost them that game?
Not at all.
Because
Yeah.
I said that online. I said that online. Well, hold on,
I know you did. I read everything you posted.
Let me finish my frame of reference here.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
He definitely kept them in the game. No one is disputing that. But
Yeah.
at the very end of the game, he had two wide open wide receivers
Let me ask you this.
in the back of the end zone and failed to hit both of them.
I was going to ask you this on Twitter.
Coverage?
Like,
What about
I
that
was
blown
going to ask
coverage?
you.
Like Xavier
am I the
Worthy
only
had that wide
one?
open touchdown.
Am I the only one that's like, this is a tendency with Lamar that when
Well,
their
let me ask you
game is
this.
on the line,
Cody.
it doesn't come through clutch.
Cody, take that.
But what about the
take it.
second quarter?
Hold on a second.
Or
Just give me 1 second.
Fast and then Rob. Go
Take
ahead.
this up. Okay, so like let's say put Cam in that spot. How many times did Cam would overthrow some balls? He would put so much friggin' heat on the thing. It'd either go through their hands most of the time or over their head. He did overthrow it too. Throughout most of his career, actually. I mean, some years were better than others, but he had a lot of heat on that thing. And I don't know. I mean, put Cam in that spot. How many games happened where Cam kept us alive, basically,
Right,
and
but
then
Stats,
he
but
made
also,
a few sail, but
no one is denying that Lamar Jackson is elite. No one is saying that he isn't. But what I'm saying is you cannot tell me that if that was Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or a CJ Stroud, that those two guys would have missed a wide open guy with the game on the line.
they can. They have the ability to. All of them do. They all have the ability to just miss plays. That's what it's a battle of that. That's the whole point. The whole game is a battle of like how many not plays how many that's what you're doing.
You don't think that is valid to at least say that Lamar
I
played a
think
large part
if
in the reason why they lost that game last night?
If we made a scoreboard and we formulated some type of like way of scientifically calculating the ability and how much someone inserted themselves into the game to make plays and things like that, I think he'd have one of the highest scores on the entire field that day for both sides of the field for both teams. So no, could he have played better? Yes, but
Well, I mean, to me, I
the
think
last two plays he missed.
Those were some two egregious misses when it mattered the most, and I felt
True,
like
but
there were other quarterbacks I just felt would have made that. Let me go around
perhaps,
the horn.
yeah,
Let
perhaps.
me
Well,
let
then
me go around the
I'll-
horn here.
True. Let me add one last thing. I think that Mahomes didn't play as good as he did. If that's what you're asking, that's what my
Okay.
thought is. All right, I'll leave it at that.
Sean, what do you think? Did Lamar lose that game last night, or am I
Nope.
being wild, or what's the deal?
No, in my opinion, no, he didn't, because I believe the game was actually lost at the end of the first quarter, mostly in the second quarter, where they just started dunking it and dunking it and dunking it, and they just lost two complete drives just trying to look like the Panthers offense last year, where he was like, bloop, and then all of a sudden their corner and their safety would just come and smack them, and they would lose 3 or 4 or 5 yards. That's when the game was lost. Those two drives right there. Not at the end, not in the fourth quarter. It should have never got to that point, in my opinion.
Okay.
All I'm saying.
All right, that's a good point. Is there anyone that agrees with me?
Yes,
I mean,
I kind of agree
would
with
say it's a
you.
yes and no
Yes.
for me.
Hold
I would
on,
say it's a yes and no.
let me go Clay and then Kyle. Go ahead, Clay.
I would say yes and no. Like I agree with you from the Lamar standpoint of the throw, but I think you also need to throw in some other costly mistakes by the Ravens defense. You had a blown coverage by Xavier Worthy, wide open 39-yard Chiefs touchdown. They had some bright spots on that defense, but there was a lot of lapses and a lot of momentum killers on that Ravens defense that killed some pivotal moments in that game, especially. I thought also the Ravens offensive line, they struggled big time. I mean, Chris Jones was eating their fucking lunch. Sorry, excuse the language, but it was
Oh,
bad.
you're good.
It was bad. But it was I'm sorry. But they also had 4 illegal formation penalties in that game and a strip sack.
Yeah, which a lot of people are debating online, like that there shouldn't have been penalties, that they were calling them
Right.
weird. Yeah, I mean, I even saw like NFL offensive linemen going back and forth. I saw Mitchell Schwartz going back and
Right.
forth with Jason Kelsey. JJ Watt was disagreeing with Jason Kelsey. Yeah, it was
crazy.
I don't want to put it all on Lamar. I'm not saying that. I'm not calling him a bum. You win as a team, you lose as a team.
Right.
But I just feel like there are other elite quarterbacks that if they would have not made those throws, we'd be dragging them over hot coals.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel like this is something that is a consistent thing with Lamar. It's like, he's great during the regular season. He's an MVP 2 times. But when it comes time to like bring the game home and win it when it's
He
on
hasn't
the line,
learned the skill yet.
I don't
I'll
see
give you
Lamar
that.
doing that. I just
You know,
don't.
and what's the most upsetting thing to me is that the Chiefs offense looked potent, but it was sloppy. Like it wasn't like the best we've seen this Chiefs offense be. Like it wasn't a smooth ride out there. They were also having drops and penalties, and I think there was like a fluky interception as well out there. So, you know,
There's weird play calls.
They didn't even look lethal out there. So that's why I'm saying, like, yes, Lamar could have made a better throw on that certain play. But when you look at the other things with the offensive line struggles and that defense just killing the momentum, I have to go. I think it's more on the defense than anybody else in that offensive line.
All right, let me go to Kyle. Let me go. I told Kyle he can go. Let me go. Kyle, then Pickle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just have to say the last 3 plays really to me, because the first one was the corner route that he overthrew him, and you could have understood and been like, hey, I need to calm down a little bit, but he was way too amped up and couldn't. Like the whole time the announcers were talking about this mentality and this look on his face and all this, but like he used that passion not to his advantage, and like he amped himself up too much. So like when the moment was right there, like the first 2 passes weren't that great, but the third one, if he would have taken a little bit off that pass, that was a touchdown. And it's just I put that on Lamar because as the quarterback, and he is the leader of that team, so like for me, like you've got to have that accountability. And you can attribute it to every player, and every player made the good and bad plays, but I give it to Lamar the most because not only when it counted he couldn't deliver, but he's kind of the one that's supposed to rally the troops, or make the adjustment. Hey, these guys are getting killed. Put a tight end over here, do something.
Yeah.
Who is the best player on that field, you think? Well, Pickle, actually, I'm sorry. No, Pickle, you said Pickle next, and I cut you off. So go ahead, Pickle. I'm sorry.
Is Lamar? Did the Ravens lose that game because because Lamar screwed up? No. Could he have won the game for them?
Yes.
And make up for all the screw ups they did? Yes. Now, let's look at the broader spectrum here. The Ravens have a new defensive coordinator that's never been a defensive coordinator before. The Kansas City often looks shaky at the beginning of the year. They seem to iron it all out at the end of the year, but they always look kind of shaky at the beginning of the year.
Agreed.
That being said, the Ravens gave Lamar Jackson $260 million contract to be the superhero at the end of a game, and he wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, and that's also the point, is it not? Like, he's known as the best. Like, there are those who there are those. I mean, now it's pretty ubiquitously Patrick Mahomes, but beside Patrick, there are many people that would tell you Lamar Jackson is the best player in all of football.
Well, Cody, look at it differently. Like, was he the best player that night on the field? I'd say, yeah. Like, there's a good argument for that. Would you not agree with that?
I mean,
well, let me ask you this: if the situation was
reversed,
if the situation was reversed, would Patrick Mahomes have made that throw to win the game?
I think so.
No one's going to know that. No one's going to know that.
Well, I mean, you don't know that, but nobody's going to know whether.
I think the question should be the pickle. I think the question should be:
times
would
have we seen
Patrick Mahomes get the same scrutiny that Lamar Jackson got?
That's a good point. And I mean, knowing how
we won't know that.
Knowing how Patrick Mahomes has made those plays in the past, on the run, in the red zone, I think maybe so, but also because he's won a Super Bowl, maybe they wouldn't be quite as hard. But I think it's because Lamar hasn't done those things, and he does have this cloud around him of being non-dependable in playoff scenarios. Fair. I think that it's relevant to the conversation that we're having, where how much of it is on the quarterback that many people would say is the best player in the NFL.
Well, I don't think you
didn't come up in the biggest moment. And to answer your question, Stratch, I would still say Patrick was better last night. Now,
he threw the only interception that night of any quarterback.
Right, but is that the only metric for who was the better quarterback?
No, but it is a factor. Is it a factor?
It's a
Pickle
factor,
is losing
also,
to me right now. I'm sorry, that was a joke.
No, but I mean, also if you make those throws when it matters the most. So, for example, a lot of people were saying online that there were wide open receivers most of the night. That he had what's the tight end they have? Mark Andrews.
There were a lot of
there were a bunch of wide open guys that he missed. Whereas when the Ravens had a blown coverage on defense, Patrick Mahomes exploited that.
But Mark Andrews wasn't the guy last night. Xavier Likely, by the way,
Likely looked great.
The
By the
reason
way,
why
I drafted him and I had
Lamar
him on the bench.
Lamar Jackson's only 6'3". He's probably too short to see over the line.
Oh Lord.
Well,
no, and listen,
I just think.
Yeah, go ahead. I just want to clarify. I'm not calling
Cody.
him. Go ahead, JD.
I personally see what you're saying as fair criticism. I mean, it's one of those metrics. It's not a stat that you can go and pull up and you can look at, but
Exactly.
it's a stat that a lot of people use. I mean, even in the NBA, when you talk about guys being clutch, who's the last guy you want to have the ball in his hand at the end of a game? Final drives, games on the line, you got to get it done. That's a fair critique of Lamar. We've seen all the skills he's displayed throughout the season. Those two MVPs, he didn't luck into those. But when the game's on the line, are you clutch? Like, can you bring it home when it back?
Well, but
regardless of what always happened throughout the game, it's a team sport. But that's the thing that separates great quarterbacks from good quarterbacks.
Agreed.
Like, that's the thing. You didn't want Tom Brady to have 12. You didn't want to give Tom Brady 30, 40 seconds left on the clock to get the ball into field goal position. You didn't want currently. You don't want Mahomes to have any time left on the clock to go put his team in a position to win. Until Lamar shows people that he can do that and he does it fairly consistently, like to bring the conversation back to Bryce, that's one of those things that gives me excitement for this upcoming season. Is even throughout that turbulent rookie season that Bryce had, when he had the ball in his hand, he didn't look nervous. He didn't look like he was, even with that shitty offensive line, he didn't look like he was shook by anything. He looked composed. And I'm watching this rookie out there with a few opportunities to bring it home. Our two wins, the two wins we got were on Bryce Young's drives, if I'm not mistaken. And there were a few other games where you say, hey, if the O-line blocks for a little bit longer, Bryce can, as a rookie, he's already displaying composure on those final drives. That's something that I'm excited about.
True.
Let's put a team around him, a system around him that he can work with. If we get into those moments, Canales said it, be 111. But we all know if you're supporting Bryce, if you believe in Bryce, you believe that he has it in him to be special. Those are the opportunities that a quarterback takes, and he shows guys like, "Hey, I'm good. He good. That guy good, but I'm great.
Yeah.
Well, your main point, it sounded like, was effectively that it's a team sport and it helps to have good teammates around. Well, to have teammates around you that are going to make plays. And if Kansas City ultimately has more playmakers around them, they're going to make more plays.
But
it's as simple as that.
It doesn't. If
Lamar can't carry the team. Lamar cannot carry the entire fucking Ravens, and then having Likely there helps. But like that's what
if
two
there
people
were
and
open guys,
one running back.
Strats. It doesn't matter if you have 20 guys out there on the field. If they're all open and the quarterback don't see them, it doesn't matter.
All I'm saying is
there were multiple open guys for the Ravens out there, and whether he didn't see him, whether he didn't want to throw him the ball for whatever reason,
I don't know why you
connect with them.
I don't know why you can't agree with me with this.
And that is his job. They're paying him $260 million to throw the ball to the open receiver. And
I know that, but why can't you agree? Just real quick, Cody, just if I may, one sentence.
Well, I want to ask you about this Raven squad. Like, would you not say that Zay Flowers, I mean, he's only a second-year player, but he's a good young player, and Mark Andrews, are those also not really talented weapons for Lamar?
They are, but they were not on the right page at moments. You could tell, like you could tell, you could see the frustration. They knew they were not where they needed.
And
you could tell.
Fault do you think that is? Not saying one way.
I don't know, Cody. What? Let me. Who do you? I don't know. I have no answer. Who do you think that is?
I know
that's on Lamar to tell them where to be.
Well, I know that generally, wide receivers can run the wrong routes, but there were a few times during that game where it felt like Lamar's eyes weren't connected to his feet. So he saw the guys open, and his feet weren't necessarily planted and prepared to throw that football. And I think that's also a double-edged sword, because so much of what makes him dangerous is the ability to extend the play. So I feel like his ability to run and take off might sometimes hinder his footwork and his ability to stay consistent. I know that was true for Cam Newton. That's also true for Josh Allen at certain points in his career. But I think it's also a criticism that when he does have open guys that are able to move the sticks for him, he doesn't hit them. And then they're like, well, Lamar doesn't necessarily have all the weapons. And I'm like, I don't know. I've seen Cam go to a Super Bowl with one of the weakest receiving cores in the NFL,
He still had multiple tools around him in that year when we went to the Super Bowl. We had fucking Kuechly on defense with Thomas Davis right next to him, and then we can go down the list. We had a lot of plethora of stuff.
I just mean the offensive weapons of the guys that he has available to get the ball.
The defense is yes.
I
mean, they both have good defenses.
I actually think the Ravens had better talent on the field yesterday than, as far as offensively wise, than Kansas City had. Kansas City was without Hollywood
What
Brown.
about the play calls? They stopped calling the run plays.
You also got to think about how good Rasheed Rice was last night. You also
They stopped feeding.
Pacheco. You also have
the play calling is correct.
Worthy.
The Chiefs are loaded.
But you have to ask.
The Chiefs are loaded.
They only used Derrick Henry a few times.
Exactly. They stopped using him after he scored that touchdown.
Yeah, but you have
no
to ask.
sense to me whatsoever.
Who did it? Who changed? Was it the offensive?
Probably the offensive. I don't know.
You don't
Pickle, who did?
Lamar Jackson.
Again, listen,
Lamar Jackson changing the plays at the line of scrimmage.
Well, and listen, but Pickle and I both said this earlier. I said this earlier, they lost as a team. Nobody is certainly saying that Lamar is the only reason that they lost.
No, absolutely
But I
not.
just feel like you are the 2-time MVP of the NFL. You had an
And
opportunity
you can't get the job done.
to win your season
I mean,
opener.
it's just
and
Is
you
Lamar
just
Jackson
didn't
becoming
get-
the next Aaron Rodgers? So can't get it to the besides one.
and that's true. Nobody can deny Rodgers' greatness, but he had that same thing about him, where he's just he had that one Super Bowl year, but then just it never got realized to the point that a lot of people thought that it would or should. And I feel like that's a legit question with Lamar at this point in time. Now, to say something else, they're probably going to play each other again in the playoffs. So it's not like this is a done conversation, but I don't know. I just put it out. I put on Twitter last night that I felt Lamar Jackson lost that game for the Ravens. And a lot of
I don't think he
people
lost
agreed.
it.
A lot of people agreed with me, but a lot of people were like, that was also it was
I
the
think he
only
played a
offense
part.
they
I
had.
think he played a part, but I don't think it was. I think it's insane to be like he's the reason they lost. That's weird to me. I don't agree with. But like, was he a factor in some of it? Sure, but he also was a factor in getting to the point to give him even a chance at getting it done anyway. So where are we going to draw the line with this? That's what it becomes.
You can't. If this was a Super Bowl, and it wasn't. But in this scenario, when you look at this game, you can't say
Everyone would be blaming
to
Lamar.
Derrick Henry, you should have carried the ball more, and if you did, we may have won. But you hold as equal value as Lamar Jackson, who just simply didn't throw it to the right guy at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
legit.
levels
True.
to this.
Yeah.
There's levels to this. And let's remember, again, and I hate to keep going. No, I don't. I like going to that shit. Lamar Jackson got paid the big bucks because he wanted to be the superhero of the Ravens. He had his opportunity, and he dropped the kid instead of catching him. Instead of swinging out there and saving Marianne or whatever the hell her name is, like Spider-Man does, he missed her,
Mary
and
Jane.
she hit the concrete from 50
Well,
stories
and
up.
I only brought up Cam Newton earlier because I was saying, like, we experienced this. We saw this. It took a while for him to eventually be under the right personnel to have that type of leadership skill. And we saw him try just the same way almost the same way Lamar is now. And I hope Lamar gets the right setting around him for this to happen. But he's just on the cusp of just executing greatness. He really is. He already is. Let's be honest. He won MVP twice. He's killing it. He's awesome. He's really carrying his team a lot. But like, at what point does everyone kind of around him, and you see it with Likely, he stepped up a lot. You see it with a lot. At what point does it all click for them to just have the right season? Right? That's what we're wondering. Is it the season? It could be the season. We don't know. It's game one. Game one. Don't get it twisted.
That's the truth.
We got a lot of games to play.
That's the truth.
I can't say we've got to wait for everybody to catch up to Lamar. I've got to wait for Lamar to be consistent enough to be a true leader that the Ravens want. They're already paying him to be that consistent superstar leader, and he's not giving him that consistency. Because in the NFL, consistency can win you the Super Bowl, or it can make you the leader of the loser of the world.
So look, I agree with both of y'all. It is the first game, and like I said, we're probably going to see that matchup again. We're going to see the Ravens and the Chiefs again at some point in the AFC, I would imagine. But I don't know. We'll follow it, man. Like, people call me a Lamar hater. I'm not a hater, man. I just think that the narratives need to be equal.
I've been called that,
and I'm not calling you a hater. I'm not calling you one.
No, I know.
Cody.
I'm not
You're a
saying
Lamar hater.
This spilled over
Yeah,
from
that's right.
Twitter into the free for all. Cole, did you want to touch on this before we after
Well,
this,
he ain't talked in an hour.
I do want to hear Cole's opinion.
Hey man, I got a lot going on over here. I'm observing, I'm packing, I'm getting
Yeah.
clean.
Oh, I really wanted to hear your
muted
opinion on this, Cole.
I was hollering at y'all and I was muted and shit. Like
Yeah,
it's been
that's
a big
always your
failure.
excuse, man.
Cole's
I'm almost,
taking it. He's
I'm almost
ducking
as
out.
bad as you with it though.
Let me ask
That's true.
Cole, bro.
You got a ways to go.
Did you
I know.
watch that game last night? And do you think
I
Lamar
did.
Jackson lost it for the Ravens?
I want to know, the only thing I'm concerned about that, and I haven't watched the replay, Cody, he said that the damn pass wasn't even intended for Likely. Like, who the hell was it intended for then? That's
You mean
what
the
I'm
last
confused
pass
about.
of the game?
Yeah. Or, no, not that one. The one that was overthrown. Who curled up? It was Flowers.
I mean,
It was
yeah,
Flowers. Yeah, okay. Because they just catching a little heat from that. So I don't know. You could say yes for those two plays before that, and not so much the last play. But I don't know. I think he looked pretty clean. Like, he was good for the most part. And the defensive line of the Chiefs is absolutely ridiculously crazy good. So I think going forward, he's probably going to have a monster
the Ravens'
year.
offensive line. I think the Ravens.
They were bad.
Line
They were
are
bad.
just not bad.
They were bad.
And I'm not disrespecting. If there's a Chiefs fan listening, I'm not disrespecting the Chiefs' defensive line at all. I'm just saying the Ravens' offensive line was that bad.
That's what I'm
This
saying.
might sound crazy, Pickle. I wanted to ask you guys this.
Too, for God's sake.
They were as bad. They were as bad as our defensive line was last year.
Did it look like it was purposefully intended that way? Because it almost looks. There was one play, I think, toward the end, or maybe a few plays at the end. Did it look like who were they double teaming on the Chiefs side? Like the Chiefs defensive rushers? They double teamed. Who was it? What's the best one?
They had to double team
Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Chris Jones.
Chris Jones.
And did you see that?
What's the
towards the end?
George Karlaftis, I think.
Yes.
Well, I was talking about Chris Jones because he would come around sometimes, and especially in that last play when they tried to throw when he got the tiptoe out play at the very end of the whole game. If you look at it, it almost looks like Lamar is expecting Chris Jones to do this. Like, go watch this again. He's expecting him to beat the coverage and come around wide in the back. And he fucks with him. He's like mentally like,
I know what you're talking about.
Forward? Backward? Which way am I going? That way. That's right. And he threw that ball. Go watch this again. He did that all night long, as much as he could. But go watch this again because it's worth watching.
All right. Well, look, man. Unless you have anything else specifically that you want to talk about, I'm gonna get everybody's final predictions for this here game with the Panthers and the Saints, and I'm gonna get your winner, the winner, the final score, and your player of the game. That is tradition here on the free for all. So we're gonna go around and we're gonna get everybody. Cole, Panthers, Saints. Who's the player of the game? Who is the winner? And what's the score?
Carolina Panthers start the season 1-0. Cody, I think the player
Yes,
of the
sir.
game is going to be Bryce Young, because that's a pretty obvious answer, and the score is going to be 24-20.
Love it.
24-20. I love it. Let me go to my man. Let me see who I want to go to next. Strats. Let me go to you, man. What is going to be your final score, player of the game, and who you got winning?
Typically I run a model, but I can't because I need current season data to do it, so I can't run it until like week 2 probably. I'll run it next week. Anyway, so my speculation is without a computer. I think we do win 17 to 13. 17 to 12. 17 to 12.
All right, 17-12 Carolina. Who's your player of the game?
17 to 13. 12. All right, so we'll go 12. I'll stick with Bryce. I think that was a good choice. We'll see how it pans out.
All right.
Leave it at that.
All right, that's a good one. 17-12. Bryce Young, player of the game. Carolina Panthers with the dub. Let me go to my man Kyle. 910 Kyle, what's up, dude? Give me your winner for the game, your final score, and your player of the game.
You know what they say. They say who they ain't the first week of this season. So we're gonna go 24-17 Panthers. My player of the game is Derek Brown with 1.5 sacks and a forced fumble.
24-17 Panther. All right. I like that. Good stuff. Let me go to my man Clay Ropp. Y'all check out Clay at the Ropp Star Report here
Good shit,
on
Clay.
YouTube. Yeah, man. Good to have you, Clay. Give me your final score. Who's gonna win? And give me a player of the game, dude.
Y'all are gonna hate me, man. I can't back off of my word though. I've been realistic from the beginning. Last year I was eating a lot of crow. So I'm tired of eating that crow. I want to keep my mouth hydrated. I just want there's key things I want to get out for real quick. I just want to see Bryce Young get in a rhythm. I want to see us exploit the Saints' interior defense, and I want us to manage the crowd because that Superdome can be a tough venue. It's always is one. But unfortunately, I'm not backing off my word. I'm going to continue to do this throughout the season on my show. I just feel like my heart, of course, for my love of my team, I want to say the Panthers, but I think the experience of the Saints is just going to make some significant strides against us. Now, to the player of the game, I am going to say for the Panther side, the player of the game, give me J.C. Horn. I think he's going to get a pick over Derek Carr and a couple tackles, but I'm going to go Saints win 2016.
You said 2016?
Yeah.
All right. Saints.
Sound like you said you were in favor of the Panthers. What happened there?
Well, I was not. I wasn't. It's not that I'm not in favor of them. I think this is a sneaky game. I think Carolina has a chance to win this game. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm a big believer in any given Sunday. I just have to be realistic with myself and my expectations this season.
All right. No, that's reasonable, man. Like, I mean, I picked the Panthers on the Tuesday show, but I'm like, damn it, I do this every year because I'm like, I told myself, I'm going to make them earn it. Like, why am I predicting y'all to win shit? I don't know.
Exactly, Cody.
Yeah, I feel it, brother. I'm just, part of it is I just don't think this is a really good Saints team. I think that's probably a coach who, if they look bad, is probably getting fired in the middle of the year. We had a Saints guy on Tuesday who didn't think so. I disagreed with him. I think that Dennis Allen could very much get the axe if that team doesn't take a step this year, if Derek Carr doesn't look great, and if that offensive line isn't able to pass protect. You know, we mentioned Ejiro Rivero and his ability to kind of use what he has around him, and it might benefit us that we don't have one primary pass rusher clearly defined on this team right now, unlike last year where everybody knew that it was Brian Burns. So, I really just don't like the Saints team. That's part of the reason why I picked them, and I am picking them. Mm-hmm. My player of the game, well, no, let me give you a final score. I said 21-17. I'm going to stick with that. 21-17, Carolina. And I think the player of the game is big Derek Brown. And I think he's just going to wreak havoc in the middle of that line and just big dog on him and get revenge for when Michael Thomas was talking that shit a few years ago. And he's going to get his get back, baby. So that's what I got to say. Let me see. Who do I want to go to here next? Pickle. Give me your final thoughts, brother. Who's winning? What's the final score? And who is the player of the game?
21.
And by the way, it never has to be just a Panther to be player of the game. So if
we've all been cutting Pickle off tonight.
If you think, Chris Olave burns everybody up, you can say Olave. Y'all can say whoever you want. Go ahead, Pick.
The player of the game is me.
Fuck.
It's 21-10. Panthers will win it. And I think the player of the game is Jatavian Sanders.
Ooh.
I think he has a breakout. And I think that he I think that I don't think there's. I think he has such a good breakout that he catches the Saints with their pants down, and they don't know how to adjust to him. I do think Derek Brown and our young guys play an active role. I think the Saints attempt to put Taysom Hill in there a little bit to try some of their wildcat, and I think they shut him down pretty easily.
Okay. All right. No, I like it. I like it. There's lots of different ways.
After listening to Pickle, can I alter it to I said Bryce Young player of the game, but can I go with our running back room making plays all game?
The room or a particular running back?
Well, I don't know who is actually supposed to start because now I'm so confused because of all the.
Chuba Hubbard starts.
Chuba Hubbard, yep.
Yeah. With Miles Sanders playing backup.
Yeah, he's back in, right? They moved him off the injury report.
Yeah.
All right, man.
If you take a look at the Saints injury report,
it's bad.
It's pretty deep. They have a lot of folks out.
Yeah, I think that's
practice squad to start.
Favorable for us. Yeah.
As an honorable mention to the player of the game, we got Ashawn Robinson as well. Because if they start doubling Derek Brown because he starts wreaking havoc, that means one-on-one matchups for Ashawn Robinson, and he's nasty as it is. So like you don't want to leave that for one-on-one.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and pick an offensive player too. I think Derek Brown will be the player of the game, but I think the surprise of the offense, Jatavion Sanders, baby.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, baby. That's what I think.
Give me both of my Gamecocks then. All right, give me Legette and then give me and then like I said, JC Horn.
All right, I'm not mad at that.
No.
Not mad at that.
Even though I got the Saints winning, let me at least have those two.
I hear you on that one. And again, even if we lose, if it's competitive, I'm gonna be feeling good.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But all right, last but never least, number one in your heart and in your program, the brand ambassador, Digital Skills. Brother, let me ask you, who's winning this game between the Panthers and the Saints in the Superdome? What is the final score? And who is your player of the game, my brother?
You know, we caught a lot of heat last year for overhyping this team, and we got a lot of that information from the front office. My biggest fear going up against the Saints this Sunday is the fact that their veteran defense is at full capacity. Those guys are pretty healthy overall. And for our offense, you know, it's all new everything. Like I said to begin the show, is Dan Morgan, first-time GM, Dave Canales, first-time head coach. We just put this offense in. This is like the third time Bryce Young has had to learn an offense. We got a young rookie tight end, like we were talking about, starting through this game. A lot of reasons why the Carolina Panthers might need a little more time, of course, with that offensive line and new members put there to get this offense in order and clicking on all cylinders. I don't know that it's going to be week one for the Panthers. You know, I would say player of the game would probably be, I'm going to go Taysom Hill for the Saints. Maybe he comes up with some plays. I saw in the preseason he was pretty dynamic, moving him around on different parts of the offense for the Saints. That could be confusing for this Panthers defense, especially when we have questions at edge rusher and cornerback as well. As far as the final score, I feel like the offense does well, but maybe we miss a field goal or something that would keep us in the game or keep us from winning the game down there in New Orleans. I'm going to say 10 points for the Panthers and then 13 for the Saints. So low scoring affair. Defense is looking good on both sides, but not quite enough juice from the Panthers. But, you know, there are many of those fans out there, Cody, that believe that the Panthers are going 17-0. Every season is for the Carolina Panthers. And the Carolina Panthers have not lost a game yet. So if you're one of those fans and you believe hardcore in these Carolina Panthers, we're going to win this game Sunday. We're going to come out the victors. We're going to keep pounding. We're going to keep doing better each and every week. That's what we do. And we're going to tune in each and every Friday night to the Friday Free-For-All here on the longest running Panthers podcast, the C3 Panthers Podcast. Keep pounding, C3.
He makes me want to run through a fucking wall.
All the time, dude. That's what Deez does. That's why he closes out the show. The next time you see us, will be for our post-game show, the legendary C3 post-game show, 30 minutes after every single Panthers game. Tune in for your therapy session or hopefully your victory session, baby. My name is Cody Lashley. This has been another edition of the C3 Friday Free-for-All. Until this Sunday, keep pounding.